Chapter 1. Fastno Province, southwest of the Heavendo Empire, Douluo continent. For a city as remote as Notting City, Notting Academy was undoubtedly the best academy in the city, even though it was only an elementary-level Soul Master Academy. In a small courtyard in Notting Academy, a 5- or 6-year-old child slowly retracted his posture and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. His name was Lu Yuan, and he was picked up by the dean of Notting Academy when he was young. As the dean had no children, he adopted him, and it had been 6 years since then. Lu Yuan was different from ordinary people since he was young. His soul came from another place, an azure planet that people yearned for day and night. At first, he didn't know where he was, until a middle-aged man with 4 shining soul rings killed a 500-year saber-toothed thunder tiger. A yellow soul ring floated out from the corpse of the saber-toothed thunder tiger, and he roughly knew where he was. The Douluo continent. This was a magical world. There were soul masters and soul beasts here, and there were all kinds of mystical martial souls. There was the sacred purity of the 6-winged angel, the tyrannical tyranny of the clear sky hammer, the unparalleled support of the 7 treasures glazed pagoda, and the sharp attack of the 7 murders sword. He remembered all of this in his heart when he first opened his eyes as a baby. I'm 6 years old this year, and it's time for me to awaken my martial soul. I wonder what martial soul I'll awaken this time. Lu Yuan muttered to himself. On the Douluo continent, the innate conditions of a martial soul determined the upper limit of one's future. A soul master with innate, full soul power, as long as he cultivated step by step, could at least become a soul sage. If he worked hard enough, it wasn't impossible for him to become a titled Douluo. However, a soul master with innate first-rank soul power, no matter how hard he worked, would never be able to break through the boundary of a soul ancestor. Let's not talk about the distant ones. Take the master he was very familiar with, Luo Sanpao, who had innate half-rank soul power, for example. After wasting half his life, he was still stuck at the threshold of a soul elder. If not for the help of the grade 9 purple Zoisha, he would have been a rank 29 soul grandmaster. Speaking of his own martial soul, Lu Yuan was still a little uncertain in his heart. He wasn't like the people of the Douluo continent who inherited their parents' martial souls. He came from another world, and no one knew what kind of martial soul he had. Lu Yuan only felt that he was different from ordinary people. His physical fitness far exceeded that of a child his age. Even some of the students in Notting Academy who had already broken through to become soul masters were far inferior to him in terms of physical fitness. Therefore, he had high hopes for his martial soul. Speaking of this, Lu Yuan felt a little annoyed. He did not simply transmigrate. Like the protagonists in many novels, he also had his own system. However, his system seemed to like playing dead. Ever since it gave him a novice gift pack, it had been silent. And this silence lasted until now. Let's go out and have a look. After his daily routine of training, Lu Yuan liked to stroll around the Notting Academy. With his strong physique and a reward from the Notting Academy's big gift pack, he was already a well-known figure in the Notting Academy, even though he had yet to enroll. In Notting Academy, no matter which student saw him, they had to obediently call him boss. With light steps, Lu Yuan walked out of his small courtyard. Hello, boss. Walking on the path of Notting Academy, the surrounding students spontaneously called him boss. Lu Yuan nodded coldly. Speaking of which, when did they start calling me boss? Lu Yuan tilted his head and thought. It seems to have started when I taught that guy, Xiao Qinyu, a lesson. Xiao Qinyu was the son of the city lord of Notting City. He used his father's power to do whatever he wanted in the academy. There was once when he offended Xiao Qinyu. Without saying anything, Xiao Qinyu was beaten up on the spot. Since then, Xiao Qinyu had gained the title of boss. Lu Yuan walked slowly toward a small wooden house. That was the master's residence. The master and his cheap father, the dean of Notting Academy, were friends. Since the master had settled down here, Lu Yuan often visited the master to ask about martial souls. The master was an old-fashioned scholar, and Lu Yuan was a studious student. In particular, Lu Yuan's recognition and support of the core competition theory of the 10 great martial souls made the master have a good impression of this 6-year-old child. Therefore, the two had always gotten along well. Thump! The sound of a heavy object falling to the ground came from afar. The loud sound made Lu Yuan unconsciously stop in his tracks. He looked around and saw Xiao Qinyu's heel stepping on a student's head in a corner not far away. Judging from the patched clothes on the student, he should be a working student. Lu Yuan frowned. In Nodding Academy, the noble students looked down on the working students and even bullied them. These situations happened from time to time, and he was naturally aware of it. Where there were people, there would be fights. This was normal. The conflict between the nobles and the commoners had been going on for a long time, so he was too lazy to deal with it. The same went for the teachers in the academy. They turned a blind eye to it. However, it was a bit too much for Xiao Qinyu to step on someone's head like this. After pausing for a moment, Lu Yuan walked toward the corner. Wang Sheng, do you admit defeat? Xiao Qinyu was in the middle of a fight. Lu Long and Ling Feng, his two henchmen, were beside him. I don't admit defeat. Wang Sheng struggled on the ground, but the huge gap between their soul powers prevented Xiao Qinyu's foot from moving no matter how hard Wang Sheng tried. After all, Wang Sheng was only an 8th level soul warrior, while Xiao Qinyu was already a 11th level soul master. You don't admit defeat? Xiao Qinyu sneered and rubbed the soles of his shoes hard on Wang Sheng's face. Stop! Xiao Qinyu was in the middle of a fight when he was interrupted by an angry shout. Who dares to disturb my fun? Xiao Qinyu turned his head angrily, but when he saw Lu Yuan's face, his anger was extinguished like a bucket of water. With a flattering smile on his face, Xiao Qinyu hurriedly said, "Oh, it's Boss Yuan. It's a pleasure to meet you." Xiao Qinyu could not be blamed for this. Back then, Lu Yuan had beaten him up so badly that Xiao Qinyu had to lie in bed for half a month. He had complained to his father, but his father took Dean Nordine's reputation into consideration. Not only did he not help Xiao Qinyu, but he also taught Xiao Qinyu a lesson. Since then, whenever Xiao Qinyu saw Lu Yuan, he was like a mouse that saw a cat. Are you bullying the working students again? Lu Yuan stared at Xiao Qinyu with a straight face. Xiao Qinyu subconsciously shrank his body as he felt the sharp gaze of the sword Qi. The scene of him being beaten came back to his mind. Chapter 2. Boss Yuan, you misunderstood. I was just messing around with Wang Sheng. Am I right, Wang Sheng? Xiao Qinyu pulled Wang Sheng up and gently patted the dust off his clothes. Is that so? Then why did I see you putting your foot on Wang Sheng's head? Was that a joke? Lu Yuan said calmly. Xiao Qinyu was speechless and could only mumble. Seeing Wang Sheng's sorry state, Lu Yuan waved his hand. Get lost. Don't be an eyesore here. Okay, right away. Xiao Qinyu was overjoyed. He hurriedly left with his two lackeys. Are you all right? Lu Yuan asked. Hello, Boss Yuan. I'm fine. Thank you for helping me. Wang Sheng bowed, expressing his gratitude to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan nodded. I can only help you for a short while. If you working students don't want to be bullied, you can only rely on yourselves. I have a special status as a representative of the academy, so I have to be fair. I hope you can understand that I can't help you more. I understand. Wang Sheng nodded. Well then, I'll take my leave now. Lu Yuan patted Wang Sheng's shoulder and turned to leave. That was all he could do about the bullying of the working students. After all, he was the son of the dean. His every word and action represented the academy. Excessive preferential treatment of the working students would cause dissatisfaction among the noble students, which would be detrimental to the stability of the academy. Although he was also dissatisfied with the noble students, it was unrealistic for the working students to go against the noble students. If the working students wanted to be truly free from bullying, they had to first become strong. This would change when Tang San and Xiao Wu entered the academy. With these thoughts in mind, Lu Yuan walked toward the master's wooden hut. The hut wasn't large, but it was surrounded by green trees and a peaceful environment. It was the perfect place to study. The door was ajar. Lu Yuan gently knocked on the door. This was basic etiquette. Come in. The master's robust voice came from inside. Creak. Lu Yuan pushed open the door and saw the master taking notes. The master was a middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s. He had short hair and a stiff expression. His eyes were full of wisdom, and his back was straight. He was a true scholar. "Oh, it's Obuchi. Come sit." Seeing that the person who came was Lu Yuan, a smile appeared on the master's face, although it was definitely not a pleasant smile. Lu Yuan didn't sit down. Instead, he walked to the front of the master and looked at the thin book in front of the master. Unique martial spirit record. What is this? The Grand Master handed the book over to Lu Yuan and said, "This book records some of the powerful and rare martial souls on the Douluo continent. Some of them have already gone extinct." Oh, Lu Yuan's interest was piqued. He took the book and read it curiously. Peerless Chapter, Six-Winged Angel. The Martial Soul Palace. The martial soul inherited by the Qian family. Is the martial soul closest to God in the Douluo continent. It is the representative of God, sacred and inviolable. Those who possess the six-winged angel not only have innate full soul power, but also have innate rank 20 full soul power. Therefore, after comprehensive consideration, it is ranked first. Golden Holy Dragon, a pure dragon martial soul. It possesses powerful light energy. It is a legendary martial soul that naturally restrains all evil. Those who possess the Golden Holy Dragon martial soul must have innate full soul power. It once appeared on the Douluo continent, but it has been lost. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked second. The Dark Demon God Tiger is a mutated soul beast formed from a white tiger that has been tainted by the power of evil and light. If it's a martial soul, it's definitely not inferior to the six-winged angel. According to statistics, this martial soul has yet to appear on the Douluo continent. Clear Sky Hammer, a martial soul inherited by the Clear Sky sect. It is the world's #1 assault-type martial soul. It is famous for its tyrannical and destructive power. No one in the world can compare to it. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked fourth. Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon, a martial soul inherited by the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. It is currently the continent's strongest beast martial soul. It possesses the explosive power of thunder and the powerful attack power of the Tyrant Dragon. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked fifth. Evil Eye White Tiger, a martial soul inherited by the royal family of the Xianra Empire. It is the king of all beasts. It possesses powerful attack and defense. It has no obvious shortcomings. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked 10th. After flipping through the Peerless Chapter's ranking, Lu Yuan nodded slightly. The martial soul ranking that the master had made was basically consistent in the current Douluo continent. After all, the master's strength was limited. It was already very rare for him to know so much. If this martial soul ranking was brought to the outside world, not many people would be able to refute it. Legendary Chapter? Seeing the words Legendary Chapter at the back of the book, Lu Yuan was obviously stunned. Legendary Chapter, written according to related legends and the author's imagination. There is no obvious evidence. Whether it exists or not is unknown. The ranking of the Legendary Chapter is as follows. Golden Dragon, the ancestor of strength. It possesses the ultimate attribute of strength. The strongest metal type martial soul. It is the continent's strongest beast martial soul. In terms of martial soul quality, it is not inferior to the six-winged angel. It might even be better. It possesses the most tyrannical physical quality and monstrous strength that can destroy everything. Whether it exists or not is unknown. Overall, it is ranked first. Emerald Qilin, possessing the ultimate life attribute. An adult Qilin is comparable to a true dragon. It is the king of all beasts. It possesses the ultimate vitality and strong recovery ability. Whether it exists or not is unknown. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked second. Celestial Emperor Hammer, the martial soul of the Clear Sky sect. It possesses the ultimate destruction attribute. According to legend, it evolved from the Clear Sky Hammer. It is the true pinnacle of tool martial souls. However, there is no obvious evidence. Whether it exists or not is unknown. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked third. Azure Dragon Martial Soul, the head of the four divine beasts. It possesses the ultimate wood attribute. It is born to control all wood elements and the explosive power of thunder. Whether it exists or not is unknown. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked fourth. Divine Beast White Tiger Martial Soul, the Western Divine Beast of Slaughter. It possesses the ultimate light attribute. It is holy and has extremely strong attacking power. According to legend, it originated from the Sionra Empire. Whether it exists or not is unknown. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked fifth. 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda, evolved from the 7 Treasures Glazed Pagoda. It deserves to be called the strongest support type martial soul. It is in the legends of the 7 Treasures Glazed sect. Whether it exists or not is unknown. After comprehensive consideration, it is ranked 10th. After reading the ranking of the martial souls in the legendary chapter, Lu Yuan closed the book. The ranking of the masters was reasonable. The martial souls in the unique chapter definitely existed or had existed in the past. Even for the dark demon god tiger, such a soul beast existed. The masters boldly speculated that if the martial soul was a martial soul, it would not be inferior to the 6-winged angel. Their reasoning was reasonable. Compared to the ranking of the martial souls in the unique chapter, the ranking of the martial souls in the legendary chapter was more interesting. Everything was unknown. The martial souls were ranked according to the legends of various countries and forces. Whether it was accurate or not was unknown. However, the martial souls in the legendary chapter were quite strong. What kind of martial soul would he awaken? Lu Yuan was even more curious. Chapter 3. How is it? The master asked with a smile. Brilliant. Lu Yuan couldn't help but admire him. Although the master's strength wasn't great, his research on martial souls was unparalleled. This ranking of martial souls included almost all of the martial souls on the Douluo continent. It could be said that there were almost no mistakes. As for the martial souls that were limited to legends, the masters had given a rather detailed explanation based on their own understanding of martial souls. Who in the world could achieve this level of skill? Not at all. The master shook his head gently and said, the ranking in the Peerless chapter is what I think is the most appropriate, but it's not necessarily correct. There are countless martial souls on the Douluo continent. Many of them have never been seen before. There are even some powerful mutated martial souls that aren't inferior to the martial souls on the list. The ranking is just a ranking, and it doesn't mean anything. Lu Yuan nodded and agreed with the master's words. Mutated martial souls happen from time to time on the continent. Some became stronger, while others became weaker. Some martial souls weren't inferior to the Clear Sky Hammer and the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. The best example was Ma Hongjun. His family's elders all had grassroots martial souls, but when it came to him, he had the ability to control flames. His martial soul became the king of birds like the evil fire phoenix, which wasn't inferior to top-tier martial souls like the white tiger and the blue lightning tyrant dragon. As for the legendary chapter, the master frowned and said, it's just a legend. There's no proof. Everything is fabricated. It's hard to say if it really exists. Lu Yuan remained silent. He knew the master's character. He was strict and serious. However, from what he knew, martial souls like the 9 Treasures Glazed Pagoda, the Golden Dragon, and the Emerald Qilin had all appeared before. Some of them appeared now, while others appeared tens of thousands of years later. The only thing that interested him was the Celestial Emperor's Hammer. This superb martial soul evolved from the Clear Sky Hammer didn't seem to be mentioned in the original work. However, since the legend existed, it couldn't be groundless. Perhaps it really did appear in the history of the Clear Sky sect. You must have something to ask me, right? The master asked. Lu Yuan nodded and said, I'm already at the age where I should awaken my martial soul. It's just that my father hasn't been in the academy for the past few days, so I want you to bring me to the Martial Soul Palace to awaken my martial soul. Generally speaking, the awakening of a martial soul in the Martial Soul Palace was led by an elder, and they had to go through identity verification. Not just anyone could awaken a martial soul. Even in remote villages, the awakening had to be personally led by the village chief. This was the rule of the martial soul palace. Is that so? All right. The master tidied up the books and said, "Then I'll take you there." Upon hearing this, Lu Yuan heaved a sigh of relief. The Grand Master used to be the honorary elder of the Martial Soul Palace. Although he had been removed from the Martial Soul Palace, he was still very famous in the Martial Soul Palace. With the Grand Master's guidance, the awakening of a martial soul would be much smoother. The Martial Soul Palace in Notting City was the lowest-ranked Martial Soul Palace. According to the strength ratio of the Martial Soul Palace, the Palace Master of the Martial Soul Palace was equivalent to his soul ancestor. The Grand Master was not strong, but for the lowest-ranked Martial Soul Palace, a rank 29 Soul Grand Master was considered a small expert. He followed the Grand Master all the way into the Martial Soul Palace. Under the Grand Master's arrangement, they entered a room. The floor of the room was engraved with a hexagram array. At every corner of the array, there was a black stone with faint demonic patterns on it. This was a special array used to awaken a martial soul. Basically, every martial soul palace, no matter if it was a martial soul palace or a higher-ranked martial soul palace, would have such an array. The awakening child only needed to stand in the middle of the array, and the soul master in charge of the awakening would only need to inject a small amount of soul power to complete the awakening. The person in charge of awakening Lu Yuan was a female soul master. Her appearance was not bad, and there was a strong perfume smell on her body, causing Lu Yuan's sensitive senses to wrinkle his nose. "Hello, little friend. My name is Cece." This female soul master called Cece had a very good attitude towards Lu Yuan. Her eyes were always sizing up Lu Yuan's face. Lu Yuan's appearance was very extraordinary. His bright eyes were bright and full of expression, his skin was white, and his facial features were three-dimensional. He was as delicate as a porcelain doll, and his small face had a faint coldness, which made him look even more elegant. Cece, this name sounds a little familiar. It seemed that he had seen this name in the book Douluo continent in his previous life, but it had been so long that he had forgotten it. But it doesn't seem to be an important person. Tilting his head, Lu Yuan threw this thought away. "Little friend, stand in the middle of this hexagram array. We are about to begin the awakening," Cece said softly. Lu Yuan nodded and stood in the middle of the array. Martial soul possession, pink fox. With a low shout from Cece, pink light circulated around her body, and a pink fox phantom appeared behind her. 2 soul rings, one white and one yellow, rose from her body. Pink fox. Lu Yuan's eyes didn't blink. He had been in contact with masters since he was young, and he had learned a lot about martial souls. The pink fox was a type of fox-type martial soul. It could only be considered average, and it wasn't a powerful martial soul. Generally speaking, the pink fox's innate soul power was between rank 3 and rank 5. It was very difficult for an existence to surpass rank 5. Cece in front of him was only a soul grandmaster in her 20s, and her innate soul power was around rank 3. The strongest fox-type martial soul should be the heavenly fox. It was a top-notch martial soul that combined both attack and charm. It was only second to the blue lightning tyrant dragon on Master's martial soul rankings. In the original work, Hulina's martial soul should be the demon fox, a top-notch martial soul that was only inferior to the heavenly fox. Although the demon fox's attack was slightly inferior to the heavenly fox, its charm was superior. His thoughts gradually drifted away, but the light golden barrier in front of him pulled his thoughts back. Above the 6 black stones, a faint golden light rose. Following the infusion of Cece's soul power, this golden light became increasingly strong and enveloped Lu Yuan's entire body. Hot! Lu Yuan only felt a warm current flowing through his meridians. An extremely tyrannical power seemed to be awakening, causing his body to tremble slightly. Wave after wave of powerful energy was emitted from Lu Yuan's body, and the golden specks of light were like stars that filled the sky as they gathered towards him. Finally, at a certain moment, a tyrannical golden light directly tore apart the light barrier. The entire room was enveloped under the golden light, and a strong power swept over. Cece, who had a soul power of more than 20 ranks, actually trembled under this pressure. This was the absolute suppression of a martial soul. Chapter 4. The dragon's roar resounded throughout the entire room. Even a master waiting outside the room couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. What a strong martial spirit fluctuation! Cece, who was responsible for awakening Lu Yuan's martial spirit, was even more unbearable. A dignified soul grandmaster was actually suppressed by the martial spirit's aura and prostrated herself on the ground. Lu Yuan's eyes were tightly closed. Behind him was a huge golden dragon. Its resplendent body seemed to be made of gold, densely packed with muscles. It was the ultimate beauty of strength. A pair of golden dragon wings stretched out, stirring up gusts of wind. A diamond-shaped dragon scale on Lu Yuan's forehead shone with golden light. Tiny golden dragon scales also climbed up both sides of his cheeks. A powerful force filled his body. This was the power of his martial spirit. Ding! Detected that the host's martial spirit has been awakened. Sign-in system is starting. The host information is as follows. Host: Lu Yuan, age 6, martial spirit, golden dragon rank, innate full soul power, soul ring, none soul bone, none skills, clear chi scripture, phoenix dance 6 illusions, mountain sea fist, vast sea spear art items, none sign-in mission issued. Sign-in location: Pope's Palace. Time limit: half a year. Please complete the mission as soon as possible. System: you're not playing dead anymore? After awakening a superb martial spirit like the Golden Dragon, Lu Yuan was very happy. Coupled with the system's official start, it could be said to be a double blessing. Sign-in location: Pope's Palace. This mission is not easy to complete. It seems that I have to join the Martial Soul Palace, Lu Yuan secretly said. According to his original plan, he was naturally prepared to follow in the footsteps of the original protagonist, Tang San. After all, he was the protagonist and had a lot of opportunities. Moreover, he was familiar with the direction of the plot. It would be more convenient for him to obtain some opportunities. However, he had no choice but to complete the sign-in mission. He had to join the Martial Soul Palace. Lu Yuan opened his eyes. The Golden Dragon's aura had slowly been restrained. Just now, it was only due to the awakening of the martial spirit. Now that the awakening was complete, the aura was naturally restrained. However, the tyrannical dragon's aura had never disappeared. Lu Yuan was a little puzzled as to why he had awakened a martial soul like the Golden Dragon. However, no matter what, the Golden Dragon was a top-tier martial soul. On the Master's martial soul ranking, the Golden Dragon was ranked first on the legendary martial soul ranking. It could be seen how much he respected the Golden Dragon. I'm sure Grandmaster will be overjoyed. The Golden Dragon was a superb martial soul that only existed in legends. To a fanatical martial soul researcher like Master, its appearance was no less tempting than a lecher seeing a peerless beauty. Looks like I won't be able to live in peace for a while. Lu Yuan shook his head helplessly. According to the Master's character, he would never give up until he thoroughly understood the Golden Dragon. Lu Yuan, who had known the Master since he was a child, knew this very well. What kind of martial spirit is that? Cece still had some lingering fear on her face. The Golden Dragon's violent aura had almost torn her martial soul to shreds. That kind of absolute suppression came from the depths of her bloodline. It was the natural oppression of a higher-level creature over a lower-level creature. The ancestor of strength, the Golden Dragon. Lu Yuan said indifferently. The Golden Dragon, a martial soul of the Dragon clan. No wonder it's so powerful. Cece's face had an expression of sudden realization. As an ordinary soul grandmaster, she naturally didn't understand the Golden Dragon martial soul. However, this didn't prevent her from knowing that it was a powerful martial soul. Not to mention the enormous dragon's aura just now. Just the name of this martial soul, the Golden Dragon, was undoubtedly a martial soul of the Dragon clan. on the Douluo continent. No matter if it was a martial soul or a soul beast, as long as it was related to the dragon clan, it would definitely be much more powerful than ordinary martial souls and soul beasts. This was the consensus of all the soul masters on the continent. Little friend, let's test your soul power, okay? Cece's attitude was much better than before. If it could be said that she admired Lu Yuan's appearance before, then now it was respect for his talent. Looking at the crystal ball in front of him, Lu Yuan gently placed his hand on top of the crystal ball. A suction force came from the crystal ball. The soul power in Lu Yuan's body surged into the crystal ball like a tide. Following the infusion of Lu Yuan's soul power, the crystal ball began to emit an intense light. The blue light filled the entire room. Heavens, it's actually innate, full soul power. Cece's face was filled with astonishment. A martial soul of a dragon clan with innate full soul power. This was a true genius. Lu Yuan casually retracted his hand. His expression didn't change at all. For a martial soul of the golden dragon, innate full soul power was definitely good, right? It would be strange if it wasn't. Little friend, are you willing to join our martial soul palace? Cece's face was filled with urgency. If she could recruit a martial soul master of the dragon clan with innate full soul power for the martial soul palace, then she would receive a huge reward. It could be said that it would be very beneficial to her future. Lu Yuan was silent for a moment. He wanted to join the martial soul palace, but now wasn't the time. Cece's status was still too low. What he wanted was to spread the news of his talent to the upper echelons of the martial soul palace. Only by alerting the upper echelons would he have the chance to enter the Pontiff's palace. He also believed that with his martial soul of the golden dragon and innate full soul power, he definitely had the qualifications. At the very least, such an existence would have a say in this martial soul palace. They could directly send the news to the higher level martial soul palace. Cece was obviously not such a person. Can you let me go back and think about it? Lu Yuan didn't refuse. Instead, he used the tactic of delaying. Of course, our martial soul palace welcomes you at any time. Lu Yuan didn't immediately join. Cece was a little disappointed, but he didn't refuse. Cece still had great expectations in her heart. This is the martial soul palace's certificate. Keep it well. Cece quickly opened the certificate. Then, she opened the door and the two walked out together. How was it? What martial soul did you awaken? The Grandmaster took 2 steps forward and asked. This little brother, has awakened a martial soul of the Dragon Clan, and it's a rare innate, full soul power. Cece said with a smile. A martial soul of the Dragon Clan? What kind of martial soul is it? The Grandmaster looked at Lu Yuan. He didn't ask Cece. It was obvious that this female soul master didn't know much about martial souls. The progenitor of strength, Golden Dragon. Lu Yuan said, What? Golden Dragon? The Grandmaster suddenly shouted, attracting the attention of everyone in the martial soul palace. Being stared at by everyone, the Grandmaster was a little embarrassed. He said softly, Obuchi, let's talk about it when we get back. Lu Yuan nodded and followed the Grandmaster out. At this time, a young man in his 20s entered the martial soul palace. He was wearing a gray warrior suit with slanted bangs. As soon as he entered the martial soul palace, he walked towards Cece. Cece, I missed you so much. Cece was stunned. She said, Su Yintao, you're back. Su Yintao. Lu Yuan, who was walking toward the door, stopped. The corner of his mouth twitched. I finally know who this Cece is. Chapter 5. The Golden Dragon was a legendary martial soul. It was of such high quality that it was rarely seen. This was the first time a Golden Dragon martial soul had appeared in the history of the Douluo continent. At this moment, the Grandmaster was very interested in Lu Yuan. On the way from the Martial Soul Palace to Nodding Academy, the Grandmaster kept sizing up Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was naturally aware of it. In front of the Grandmaster's wooden house, the Grandmaster gently pushed open the wooden door and walked in. Obuchi, release your martial soul, the Grandmaster said. Lu Yuan nodded and circulated his soul power. The golden dragon martial soul appeared behind him, and the dragon's aura that belonged to the golden dragon immediately spread out. What a strong dragon's aura! The Grandmaster's eyes lit up. Ever since he had studied martial spirits for so many years, among all the beast spirits he had encountered, the golden dragon's aura was the strongest. That lofty nobility and arrogance that seemed to be above all living things made the Grandmaster sigh in admiration. The Grandmaster came from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. In the current continent, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon was known as the #1 martial soul in the world. Even the White Tiger of the Sianra Empire was slightly inferior to the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon. However, compared to the Golden Dragon's aura, the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon paled in comparison. As expected of the Golden Dragon, it's really powerful. The Grandmaster's eyes were full of admiration. The Golden Dragon martial soul is the best among gold-type martial souls. It has boundless strength and a very strong physical body. You should have noticed it too, right? Lu Yuan nodded. His physical body was already very strong, and after the awakening of the Golden Dragon martial soul, his physical body had soared by a large margin. It was obvious that it was the Golden Dragon that had increased his strength. Grandmaster, what direction should I take? Lu Yuan asked. According to the types of soul masters, the Douluo continent soul masters were mainly divided into the assault type, control type, agility type, support type, and food type soul masters. Different martial souls were suited for different directions of development, and his own idea was to walk the assault type path. Sure enough, the Grandmaster said without hesitation, according to the characteristics of the Golden Dragon martial soul, you will undoubtedly walk the path of an assault-type soul master. According to my understanding of the Golden Dragon martial soul, your martial soul should focus on strength and defense. After all, the Golden Dragon's strongest point is its incomparable monstrous strength and its powerful physical body, which is ranked at the top of beast martial souls. Lu Yuan nodded in agreement. The Grandmaster continued, there are many soul beasts that specialize in strength. I suggest that you obtain an offensive-type soul skill for your first soul skill, while a defensive-type soul skill can be saved for your second soul ring. After all, for an offensive-type soul master, a powerful attack is the most important. For your first 3 soul skills, it's best to gather the 3 main attributes of strength, defense, and attack. This kind of balanced development will be more effective for you in the future. You can't just walk the path of strength alone, or else you'll waste the potential of your Golden Dragon martial soul. Lu Yuan deeply agreed. The Grandmaster's words were very reasonable. With the characteristics of the Golden Dragon martial soul, it was most suitable for a head-on, upright fighting style. Strength, attack, defense, and a certain amount of speed were indispensable. According to my idea, your first soul ring can focus on strength and attack. Suitable soul beasts are the Vigor Gorilla, Diamond Barbarian Ape, and Violent Astral Bear. It's just that these types of soul beasts are generally stronger, and my strength isn't enough. Therefore, I still have to wait for the Dean to return. Lu Yuan said, can't a dragon-type soul beast? A dragon-type soul beast strength and attack aren't bad either. In his opinion, a soul beast with a dragon's bloodline was clearly more suitable for the Golden Dragon. A trace of praise flashed through the Grandmaster's eyes. If you can think of this, it means that you already have a certain understanding of martial souls. A dragon-type martial soul is naturally the most suitable, but don't forget how powerful and rare dragon-type martial souls are. A 400-year-old dragon-type soul beast is comparable to an ordinary 1,000-year soul beast. This kind of soul beast is very difficult to hunt. Lu Yuan remained silent. Indeed, even his cheap father, the Dean of Notting Academy, was only an ordinary soul ancestor. He wasn't even the best match. With his strength, hunting a 100-year-old dragon-type soul beast was undoubtedly extremely difficult. Moreover, dragon-type soul beasts were something that could only be encountered by chance. All right. The Grandmaster clapped his hands and looked at Lu Yuan with a burning gaze. Obuchi, are you willing to acknowledge me as your master? Lu Yuan's heart trembled. According to his thoughts, he was naturally willing to acknowledge the Grandmaster as his master. After all, The Grandmaster's theories and teaching ability were second to none in the Douluo continent. However, he was destined to join the martial soul palace. It was inappropriate for him to acknowledge the Grandmaster as his master. Seeing that Lu Yuan was silent, a trace of disappointment flashed through the Grandmaster's eyes. Forget it. You can go back first. Lu Yuan felt somewhat guilty. He immediately cupped his hands and said, "Then I'll take my leave first, Grandmaster." With that, he left the Grandmaster's wooden house. Looking at Lu Yuan's departing figure, the Grandmaster sighed helplessly. On the way back to his own small courtyard, Lu Yuan still felt somewhat uncomfortable. After all, his refusal to acknowledge the Grandmaster as his master had hurt the relationship between him and the Grandmaster. The Grandmaster was a person who wanted to excel. He wanted to prove his theories to the world. The appearance of the Golden Dragon martial soul had undoubtedly caused the Grandmaster to place his hopes on him. However, ever since the system's mission was issued, he was destined to be unable to stand on the same line as the Grandmaster and the others. However, the new students will start school in a few days. Tang San should also be entering the school. With his talent and twin martial souls, he's definitely not inferior to me. He's the most suitable person to become the Grandmaster's disciple. No matter how one looked at it, Tang San was the most suitable person for the Grandmaster's theories. However, he was not. When a new student starts school, the old man should be back. Speaking of which, the Fastno Province's Campus Alliance Conference had already been held for a few days. It was about time to end it. Lu Yuan sat on a recliner in the courtyard and gently rocked back and forth. His eyes were slightly closed as he gradually calmed his mind. In the depths of his mind, a huge golden dragon was flying. It was over 100 feet long, and its entire body was golden. Huge dragon wings were spread out behind its back, covering the sky and the sun. The dragon's roar caused a sea of consciousness to churn unceasingly. Is this the full appearance of my martial soul? In the sea of consciousness, Lu Yuan's small figure looked at the golden dragon that was constantly circling around. His eyes flashed with a bright light. The dragon's majestic figure and the rhombus-shaped dragon scales that were the size of wash basins that shone with a golden light made him sigh in admiration. Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness had been opened since he was young. His soul strength was extraordinary. Although he had just awakened his martial soul, he could already freely enter and exit his sea of consciousness. It was also because of his strong mental strength that he was able to learn so much at such a young age. Although he was only 6 years old, his mental strength was not inferior to that of an ordinary soul elder. Chapter 6. It was the start of the new school year again. Notting Academy was bustling with activity as it was the start of the new school year. For the past few days, except for some students who couldn't go home or liked to laze around in school, the rest of the students stayed at home. Did a student like Xiao Qinyu stay in school to study? Of course not. It was just that there were more people in school for him to bully. The reason why working students like Wang Sheng didn't go home was simple. They couldn't afford the travel expenses. As far as Lu Yuan knew, working students like Wang Sheng hadn't gone home for several years. Usually, it was their parents who came to visit them. Notting Academy's working students didn't only get paid when school started. Even during school holidays, working students who didn't want to go home could still get subsidies from school as long as they did their jobs well. This was one of the main reasons why many working students didn't want to go home. As the dean of Notting Academy, the fellows naturally had to be present since school had started. Fellows, a random name given by the author, was the dean of Notting Academy and Lu Yuan's adoptive father. As a 1,000-year-old single dog, Fellows, like many other teachers in Shrek Academy, had chosen to remain single. Lu Yuan had once asked Fellows why he was single. The reason was simple. There were more male soul masters than female soul masters on the continent, so most male soul masters found it difficult to find their other half. Obviously, these self-proclaimed noble soul masters would find it hard to accept marrying a commoner as their wife. Therefore, after a long time, they all became old bachelors. As a soul ancestor, Fellows' strength shouldn't be considered bad. Soul ancestors were considered the elites among soul masters. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to become the dean of Nodding Academy. It shouldn't be too difficult to find a female soul master with these conditions. But the problem was that Fellows was simply too ugly. He didn't like ugly female soul masters, and he didn't like pretty female soul masters either. It could be said that it was very interesting. Lu Yuan felt that as the only adopted son of his old man, he had to take care of things for his old man. No matter what, he had to find a partner for his old man. Walking on the path of Nodding Academy, Tang William couldn't help but smile like a weasel who had stolen chicken. The surrounding students couldn't help but retreat. As usual, he went to Grandmaster's cabin. He hadn't been there for several days since he rejected Grandmaster's invitation. This time, he was here to inform Grandmaster about the trip to the soul hunting forest tomorrow, according to Fellows' instructions. The master's cabin seemed to be a little lively today. Before he even entered the cabin, Lu Yuan's sharp hearing could hear the conversation coming from inside the cabin. He knocked on the door, and a boy about 6 years old. The boy's appearance was very ordinary. He was the kind that could not be found in a sea of people. However, his eyes were very lively and full of wisdom. This was definitely not a simple boy. Lu Yuan's gaze swept over the boy. The boy was dressed in plain clothes. His clothes were patched, but they were very neat and tidy. He looked quite thin and weak, probably malnourished, but his inner breath was very long. Obviously, his strength wasn't low. "You are?" the boy asked doubtfully. "I'm here to look for Grandmaster." Lu Yuan smiled. "Are you Obuchi? Come in." Grandmaster's hearty voice sounded. Walking into the cabin, Lu Yuan found that Grandmaster was in a good mood today. There was an imperceptible smile on his usually stiff face. This was very rare for a strict Grandmaster. "Obuchi, what's the matter?" Grandmaster asked. Lu Yuan smiled and said, "I'm here to discuss hunting for my first soul ring with you. My father said that we'll do it tomorrow." "Tomorrow? Okay. I'm also preparing to take little 3 to hunt for his first soul ring tomorrow. Even if you didn't come, I would have gone to look for you later." Grandmaster smiled. "That's good," Lu Yuan said with a smile. "This is?" Lu Yuan's eyes turned, and he pointed at Tang San and asked. Grandmaster said, "I almost forgot. This is my new disciple. His name is Tang San, and his martial soul is blue silvergrass. He has innate full soul power. This is Lu Yuan, the adopted son of the Academy's dean. His martial soul is golden dragon, and he also has innate full soul power." Grandmaster introduced with a smile. "Hello, Tang San. I'm Lu Yuan." Lu Yuan smiled and extended his hand. Sure enough, this boy was Tang San. "Hello, I'm Tang San." Tang San also extended his hand. After shaking hands, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "Congratulations, Grandmaster, for taking in such an outstanding disciple. This is the first time I've seen a blue silvergrass with innate full soul power. It's getting late, Grandmaster. I'll be leaving first." Grandmaster nodded. Looking at Lu Yuan's departing figure, Tang San asked, "Teacher, does he also have innate full soul power?" Grandmaster nodded and said, "His martial soul is the golden dragon, an extremely powerful beast martial soul. Before I met you, he was the most talented soul master I've ever seen. But you don't have to worry. With your innate twin martial souls, if you cultivate them to large success, you'll be able to match him." Tang San nodded and remained silent. Just now, he felt an enormous pressure from Lu Yuan's body. He had a feeling that this person would be his lifelong rival. Rubbing Tang San's head, Grandmaster said, "Hurry up and go back. Rest well tonight. Tomorrow, we'll be hunting soul beasts. When your blue silvergrass obtains its first soul ring, there will be a huge change. You have to remember, there are no trash martial souls, only trash soul masters. Even blue silvergrass can become very strong." And Tang San nodded vigorously. At this moment, Tang San was also very curious. Was it this so-called soul ring that had been restricting his breakthrough in the mysterious heaven method? Martial soul, soul ring, soul master. These were all new terms to Tang San. It was also at this moment that Tang San began his life of destiny. On the other side, Lu Yuan had already returned to his small courtyard. Compared to Tang San, his desire for soul rings was even greater. The strength of soul masters and the splendor of the world of soul masters constantly attracted him. Ever since he came to the Douluo continent, he had always been waiting for this day. As long as he obtained a soul ring, he would be a true soul master. On the Douluo continent, only soul masters were the true rulers. With a thought, Lu Yuan's feet moved in a strange footwork. The tip of his foot touched the ground, and his body was as light as a feather floating in the air. He left behind afterimages in the courtyard as he pleased. Suddenly, Lu Yuan's foot touched the ground lightly. Unexpectedly, 6 short figures appeared in the same place. They danced lightly and gracefully, elegant and beautiful, like noble phoenixes. As they looked around, their charm was fully displayed. Chapter 7. The next day, in front of Nodding Academy. While the rest of the students were still asleep, Lu Yuan, the master, and the other 3 had already gathered at the entrance. The nearest soul-hunting forest to Nodding City was about 400 miles away, so they had to set off early if they wanted to reach it on time. The fellows had prepared a carriage. The horse pulling the carriage was not an ordinary horse, but a 10-year horn-scale horse. The horn-scale horse was covered in scales and had great endurance, so it was the most suitable horse to pull a carriage. The carriage was very spacious, more than enough to seat 4 people. It was also equipped with anti-shock tools, so even if it was moving at a fast speed, it would not be too bumpy. Tang Sin seemed to have never seen such a carriage before, so he was very curious. After getting on the carriage, the fellows led them to the soul-hunting forest northeast of Nodding City. Along the way, the master introduced Tang San to the basic knowledge of soul masters and soul beasts, while Lu Yuan closed his eyes to rest. He woke up a little early, so he was still a little sleepy. The journey of 400 miles was definitely not short. Even with the speed of the horn-scale horse, it was already afternoon when they reached the soul-hunting forest. The bumpy journey was definitely unbearable for ordinary people. Fortunately, everyone present was a soul master, so their physiques were stronger. It was just that they could not help but feel nauseous. They reached the soul-hunting forest at least half the speed of the master in the original novel. The soul-hunting forest was always very lively. There were many shops here, and all kinds of shouts could be heard, making it very noisy. "Let's get off the carriage to restock," the master said. No one objected. Other than the master and the fellows, it was Lu Yuan and Tang San's first time in the soul-hunting forest, so they were all newbies. "Teacher, why did you buy so many white radishes?" Tang San was a little puzzled. His 24 moonlit bridges was filled with all kinds of white radishes. Hearing this, Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. He remembered Luo Sanpao's attack in the original novel and unconsciously bought a few more masks. The master did not answer him, but the smile on his face became more bitter. "I'll tell you next time." After tidying up, everyone walked towards the soul-hunting forest. After showing their soul-hunting tokens, they finally entered the soul-hunting forest. The soul-hunting forest here was basically reared by the Empire, so high-level soul beasts were very rare. The Grand Master's martial spirit, Luo Sanpao, was very cute. It was fat and looked like a little piglet. Luo Sanpao was very intelligent. He was very close to Tang San and the others, but he was very afraid of Lu Yuan. He didn't even dare to get close to him. Lu Yuan knew that this was because Luo Sanpao was frightened by the pressure of the golden dragon martial spirit in his body. "There's movement ahead." The Grandmaster's voice rang out. According to the information that Luo Sanpao had sent back, there were clearly soul beast fluctuations ahead. What kind of soul beast is that? Unknowingly, the fellow's martial soul had already taken over his body. Flames coiled around the fellow's body, revealing the aura of a soul ancestor. Although his soul rings were only white, yellow, and purple, a soul ancestor was still a soul ancestor. The fellow's martial soul was a scarlet flaming dog. It was a good beast soul, but it was a pity that the fellow's innate soul power was too low. It was only at rank 3, so he could only reach the level of a soul ancestor after wasting half his life. Generally speaking, the stronger the innate soul power, the higher the quality of the martial soul. However, the stronger the martial soul, the higher the innate soul power. For example, the Clear Sky Hammer was known as the #1 tool soul in the world. However, not every Clear Sky Hammer martial soul could reach the level of innate full soul power. In the Clear Sky sect, there were innate rank 5, rank 6, and all the way to innate full soul power. If the strength of one's martial soul was inherited from one's parents, then the level of one's innate soul power was determined by one's innate talent. There were many people with innate full soul power in the Douluo continent, but in reality, it was still very rare. Not only did it require one to have a strong martial soul, it also required the soul master to have a strong innate talent for cultivation. The fellows' innate talent for cultivation was obviously not very good. According to Sambao's feedback, it should be a 100-year lime mountain boar and a 100-year mandala snake confronting each other. However, we don't know exactly how old they are. We need to observe carefully to find out. The Grandmaster said, "If it's only a 100-year lime mountain boar, I should be able to deal with it," the fellows said. Although his strength was not outstanding among his peers, he was still a soul ancestor. Dealing with a 100-year lime mountain boar was more than enough. Unless it was a super soul beast like the Titan giant ape, then it would be a different story. However, it was impossible for a super soul beast like the Titan giant ape to appear in the soul hunting forest. Let's go and take a look. Pay attention to the sound. Don't alarm them, the Grandmaster said. Lu Yuan and Tang Sen both nodded. The master was obviously saying this for them to hear. They took a few steps forward and hid behind a large tree to observe carefully. In front of them, the mandala snake and a lime mountain boar were locked in a fierce battle. The mandala snake was agile, fast, and highly venomous. It was a powerful soul beast, and its venom had once caused many soul beasts to tremble in fear upon hearing its name. The lime mountain boar was not simple either. As the leader of the pig-type soul beasts, its status was not lower than the mandala snakes. Its body was covered in raging flames, and it was very strong. Its defense was also very impressive. Its fighting strength could not be underestimated. The Grandmaster's eyes quickly swept over the battlefield. This mandala snake's body is roughly 3 meters long, close to 4 meters. It should be close to 400 years old. It's tough and highly venomous. It's very suitable for Shaosan. This lime mountain boar is also 3 meters long. Its strength and defense are not weak. It's very suitable for Obuchi. Hearing this, Lu Yuan shook his head. A lime mountain boar's cultivation of 300 years is still a bit low. My body's constitution is different from ordinary people's. The golden dragon is also a top-grade beast soul. I think my soul ring's age should be increased. The Grandmaster frowned and said, "According to my research, the limit of the first soul ring is around 423 years. Once this limit is broken, it will bring great danger to the soul master." Lu Yuan shook his head and said, "Grandmaster, your research is correct, but there are always exceptions. You don't understand the golden dragon martial soul. Its enhancement to the body is beyond your imagination. Is that so?" The Grandmaster was also somewhat uncertain. He was incomparably confident in his own research, but he really didn't know much about the legendary martial soul, the golden dragon. In the end, a theory was only a theory. The golden dragon's body was strong, but as for how strong it was, the Grandmaster wasn't very clear. Thus, he already somewhat believed Lu Yuan's words. "All right, let's do this first. When the mandala snake and the lime mountain boar are both injured, we'll make our move. As for the problem of Obuchi's soul ring, we'll discuss it after we've dealt with them," the Grandmaster said after thinking for a while. Chapter 8. Fellows, you're the strongest here. When we attack later, you'll control the mandala snake first. You must make it lose its ability to fight as quickly as possible. Obuchi and I will take care of the lime mountain boar, the Grandmaster said. The fellows nodded and said, "All right, leave it to me. However, you must be careful. The Lime Mountain Boar isn't weak either. The Grandmaster nodded and took out a few masks from his soul tool. He passed them to everyone and said, "Wear these later." Lu Yuan was quick to react. He took one and put it on. Tang San was a little confused and asked, "Teacher, why do we have to wear masks?" The Grandmaster said, "You'll know later." After hearing the Grandmaster's words, Tang San was a little confused. However, he still obediently put on his mask. Just as they were putting on their masks, the battle between the mandala snake and the Lime Mountain Boar had reached its climax. The mandala snake's venomous fangs had sunk deep into the Lime Mountain Boar's flesh, while the Lime Mountain Boar's mouth had torn the mandala snake's body into two. It was obvious that both sides were injured. "Attack!" the Grandmaster shouted. Scarlet Flaming Dog, Blazing Prairie. A blazing fireball struck the two soul beasts. Amidst a huge explosion, the two soul beasts were sent flying. The Grandmaster's eyes flashed. Luo Sanpao Go. First soul skill, Thunderous Fart, earth-shattering Luo Sanpao. The Grandmaster's first soul ring flew onto Luo Sanpao's body. Luo Sanpao seemed to be in great pain. His body swelled, and a yellow smoke was released from his butt. The Lime Mountain Boar was sent flying again. As the yellow smoke spread, an indescribable aura spread. Lu Yuan's face twitched. A light flashed in his hand, and another mask appeared in his hand. It was the mask that he had bought and placed in his soul tool earlier. Lu Yuan's soul tool was a white ring. It wasn't very big, and only had 3 cubic meters of storage space. The fellows had spent a lot of effort to get it for him. Lu Yuan felt a lot more comfortable after putting on the double-layered protective mask. It couldn't be helped. His senses were too sensitive, and a single layer of mask couldn't isolate the smell at all. At this moment, the Lime Mountain Boar was a little dizzy. He was already riddled with wounds, and he had even been poisoned by the mandala snake. Although its poison resistance was relatively strong, it was hit by the fellow's fireball and the master's smelly fart attack. It only felt that its life as a beast was really miserable, as expected of a 100-year-old Lishan boar. Even after receiving such an attack, it can still stand up. The master couldn't help but secretly praise it. "Brother Zhu, you're really strong. Let me send you on your last journey." Golden Dragon, possess. The martial spirit instantly possessed his body. Generally speaking, beast souls could only be possessed after obtaining their first soul ring. At the Soul Warrior stage, they could only obtain the martial soul strength. However, the Golden Dragon martial soul was different. Even without a soul ring, it could still be possessed. Phoenix Dance of 6 Illusions. Using the Phoenix Dance of 6 Illusions' peerless Qin Gong, Lu Yuan instantly closed the distance between him and the Lime Mountain Boar. Mountain Sea Fist First Style, Mountain Collapses, and Earth Splits. Under the Golden Dragon martial soul, Lu Yuan used the Mountain Sea Fist for the first time. Mountain Sea Fist suppresses the mountains and seas. Originating from the world of wind and cloud, it was created by the top 10 martial artists, Wu Wudi. It was bold and fierce, yet it combined hardness and gentleness. It could really be called a peerless fist technique. Boom! The thin and weak little fist smashed into the Lime Mountain Boar's body, but it produced a huge sound. With the support of the Golden Dragon martial soul, this punch had at least a force of 2,000 kilograms. To a 6-year-old child, 2,000 kilograms could be said to be a number that was enough to make people flabbergasted. The Lime Mountain Boar's huge body was directly sent flying, crashing into a big tree not far away. The collision broke its tendons and bones, and even the big tree was directly knocked down. What a powerful strength! The master was shocked. This is the strength of the Golden Dragon. What a powerful fist technique. Although Tang San was also shocked by Lu Yuan's huge strength, his focus was still on the Mountain Sea Fist. Who is he? He actually knows such a powerful fist technique. Ever since he came to Douluo, this was the first time he saw someone use such a fist technique. This definitely didn't belong to the Douluo continent, but it was the same as the Tang sect's secret technique that he cultivated, belonging to the category of martial arts. Lu Yuan was unforgiving. With a slight twist of his palm, A fine iron spear appeared in his hand. With a thrust of his hand, he pierced the Lime Mountain boar's throat, ending its painful life. On the other side, the fellows easily subdued the mandala snake. "Come quickly, this mandala snake is about to die," the fellow's voice sounded. "Little San, quickly, you must end the mandala snake's life before it dies." The master's voice was filled with urgency. The mandala snake could be said to be a soul beast that was extremely suitable for Tang San. Once he missed it, he might not be able to find a better one. "Yes, teacher." Tang San held a short sword in his hand and directly pierced the mandala snake's brain. A centipede died, but did not fall over. The mandala snake struggled for a while before gradually dying. "Little San, quickly absorb your first soul ring." The master's voice was filled with anxiety. Tang San's success or failure represented whether his theory was correct or not. Tang San nodded and sat cross-legged. The master's voice sounded. "Guard your dantian. Conceal your spirit. You must concentrate." Following the master's instructions, Tang San began to absorb the soul ring. The master, the fellows, and Lu Yuan guarded him. "Obuchi, are you really not going to absorb the Lime Mountain boar's soul ring? This soul ring is quite suitable for you," the master asked. Lu Yuan shook his head and said, "Although the Lime Mountain boar is not bad, it is not the most suitable for me. Moreover, its age is too young. I have to try my best to reach the limit of what I can bear." The master nodded and said, "Based on the power you displayed in that instant, I made a judgment. Your current strength is not inferior to an ordinary soul elder, and your explosive power is even more powerful. The overall quality of your body is also not inferior to an ordinary soul grandmaster. Based on your current situation, the limit of your first soul ring should be around 800 to 900 years. It should be less than 1,000 years. I'm afraid that a soul beast of this level is not easy to find in the soul hunting forest. The oldest soul beast in the soul hunting forest was only 1,000 years old. A soul beast that was 800 to 900 years old and specialized in strength was indeed not easy to find. It's fine, we can look for a while longer. In any case, there is still plenty of time." The fellows was very patient. Regarding his son's future growth, he naturally would not compromise on soul rings. The stronger the better. Wasn't it just a little more time? The master nodded and said, "Let's deal with the corpses of the mandala snake and the Lime Mountain boar. The meat of the Lime Mountain boar is delicious, but it contains the venom of the mandala snake, so we can only throw it away. What a pity." After saying that, the three dug a hole and buried the corpses of the Lime Mountain boar and the mandala snake. Chapter 9. Absorbing a soul ring had always been a time-consuming process. Even if the process went smoothly, it would still take half a day. Tang San's first soul ring, the mandala snake, was close to 400 years old. Furthermore, the power of the soul ring was quite domineering, so absorbing it wasn't easy. It was already afternoon when Lu Yuan and the others entered the soul-hunting forest. They had spent some time on the road, so the sky had already darkened less than 2 hours after Tang San absorbed the soul ring. Grandmaster and the fellows had already set up their tents. For them who were familiar with surviving in the wild, setting up a tent was just a basic skill. Lu Yuan took the snake repellent powder from Grandmaster and carefully scattered it around. Snake repellent powder could conceal one's aura, but unfortunately, it also repelled poisonous insects. Generally speaking, it was a necessity for surviving in the wild. Night slowly fell. Grandmaster and the fellows had already lit a bonfire and stewed a pot of snake soup with the meat of the mandala snake. When they were burying the corpses of the mandala snake and the Lime Mountain boar, Grandmaster cut off a section of the mandala snake's meat and used it to make soup. Although the mandala snake was highly poisonous, its meat wasn't. Furthermore, it tasted delicious. Lu Yuan drank 3 big bowls in a row before closing his eyes and beginning to meditate. The soul-hunting forest wasn't quiet at all in the dark. The roars of various soul beasts could be heard from afar. Lighting a bonfire at night was actually a very dangerous thing to do. Although some weak soul beasts were afraid of fire, some strong soul beasts liked it very much. Soul-hunting forest soul beasts were young, and the fellows was a soul ancestor. If Grandmaster was leading the team alone, he definitely wouldn't dare to start a fire in the soul-hunting forest. When they spent the night in the wild, there would always be someone keeping watch. Grandmaster was worried about Tang San, so he took the initiative to take on the responsibility of keeping watch. The fellows was happy and relaxed. He lay down in the tent, and not long after, snoring sounds could be heard. With the help of the firelight, Grandmaster glanced at Tang San from time to time. When he saw that Tang San's complexion was normal and his breathing was stable, he slowly relaxed. Time flowed like water. Slowly, it was late at night. The temperature in the soul-hunting forest dropped in the middle of the night, and the breeze added a few degrees of coolness. The master yawned deeply. Keeping watch at night had always been very tiring. As night fell, the sounds of the various soul beasts gradually disappeared, and the entire soul-hunting forest quieted down. The master moved closer to the bonfire and used the warmth of the flames to drive away the chill on his body. Suddenly, the master's eyes turned sharp. Why is it so quiet all of a sudden? There were many soul beasts in the soul-hunting forest. Even if it was the middle of the night, there should still be the soft sounds of soul beasts. Why was it so quiet all of a sudden? The great master suddenly became vigilant. He glanced around, and suddenly his eyes focused. Less than 200 meters away from the camp, a pair of yellow eyes were shining in the dark night. "Fellows, Obuchi, wake up. There's a situation," the master shouted. Lu Yuan, who was meditating, and the fellows in the tent woke up at the same time. "Where is it?" The fellow's martial spirit instantly entered his body, causing the surrounding air to become scorching hot. Roar! With a loud bestial roar, a black figure pounced straight at Lu Yuan and the others. "Be careful!" Everyone hurriedly dodged. The huge figure landed on the ground, kicking up clouds of dust. Everyone was finally able to see its full appearance. "It's actually the sky demon ape." The master's voice was filled with shock. The sky demon ape was a powerful existence among the ape-type soul beasts, second only to the Titan giant ape. Other than the Titan giant ape, the sky demon ape and the sky-shaking giant ape were the strongest among the ape-type soul beasts. They didn't expect to encounter it today. "Fellows, move the battlefield further away. Little San is still here." The master reacted immediately. They were too close to Tang San, and he couldn't let the sky demon ape affect him. First soul skill, Blazing Prairie. The scorching fireball bombarded the sky demon ape's body. The intense pain caused its bestial nature to erupt, and it directly pounced at the fellows. "Grandmaster, can Dad deal with this demonic ape?" Seeing the battlefield being pulled away, Lu Yuan was worried. The sky demon ape wasn't an ordinary soul beast. The master's face was solemn. "It's hard to say. This sky demon ape is close to 3 meters tall, and it has a cultivation of close to 1,000 years. It's roughly estimated to be between 850 to 900 years old. Although this sky demon ape isn't like the Titan giant ape, which can fight against 10,000-year soul beasts at only 100 years old, its strength is comparable to 3 to 4,000-year soul beasts. Although the fellows is a soul ancestor, he doesn't have a powerful martial soul, and his soul ring combination isn't high either. The outcome of the battle is still unknown. After hearing the master's words, Lu Yuan's heart was in his mouth. He waved his hand, and a fine iron spear appeared in his hand. "Master, I'll leave Tang San to you. I'm going to help Dad." The master raised his hand to stop Lu Yuan, but he couldn't help but put down his hand when he thought of the strength that Lu Yuan had displayed during the day. "Then be careful." Lu Yuan nodded. His golden dragon martial soul was instantly attached to his body, and he used the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions to rush towards the battle between the fellows and the sky demon ape. With the golden dragon attached to his body, Lu Yuan was like a bright lamp in the night, extremely dazzling. Scarlet Flame Howl. Not far away, the fellows used his 4th soul skill, leaving a deep wound on the sky demon ape's body. Roar! The sky demon ape roared at the sky in pain, and its thick arms swept horizontally. Although the fellows dodged in time, he was still brushed by the wind from the fist and was sent flying. Old man, Lu Yuan's figure turned into 6 afterimages, and he finally caught the fellows before he hit the ground. Old man, are you okay? Lu Yuan asked. A trace of blood flowed from the fellow's mouth, and he smiled. I'm fine. What a powerful beast. Let's go together. Lu Yuan nodded and gripped the spear in his hand tightly. Third soul skill, Wild Hellfire. The soul skill from the 800-year Scarlet Devil Mastiff brought along blazing hellfire. Vast ocean spear art. The spear pierced out, bringing along the sound of waves as it struck the sky demon ape's eyes. Soul beasts like the sky demon ape had almost no shortcomings. The only weakness was its eyes, or it could be said that this was the common weakness of most soul beasts. The intense hellfire spewed out from the sky demon ape's back, and it instantly became more turbulent. The sky demon ape's fur was burned by the hellfire, and it actually had a burning effect. Borrowing his cheap father's attack, Lu Yuan's spear directly pierced the sky demon ape's body. Although it didn't pierce its eyes, it still pierced its neck. What a tough body! Lu Yuan was shocked. With the support of the golden dragon martial soul, more than 1,000 kilograms of strength, and the vast ocean spear art's formidable power couldn't completely pierce its body. Only a small part of the spear tip went in. Its strong defensive power was truly terrifying. Chapter 10. However, there were many blood vessels in its neck. Although it was only a small portion of the spear tip that had pierced into its neck, it still caused the demonic ape to howl in pain. When he pulled out the spear tip, blood spurted out. That spear had actually pierced through the blood vessel membrane. Roar! The demonic ape roared at the sky, and a layer of black air billowed around its body. Lu Yuan was sent flying as if he had suffered a heavy blow. He spat out a large mouthful of blood. The spurting of blood caused the demonic ape to go completely berserk. It ignored the spurting blood and pounced towards Lu Yuan. Its thick arms seemed to want to tear Lu Yuan apart. Bastard, how dare you! The fellow's 4 soul rings lit up at the same time. Raging flames with a huge amount of energy blasted towards the demonic ape. However, the demonic ape did not dodge. It took the fellow's attack head-on. Although its body was covered in burns and its flesh was char-black, it still threw a punch towards Lu Yuan without any care. What the F***CK? Lu Yuan quickly dodged to the side. The huge fist bombarded the place where he was standing just now, causing cracks to appear on the ground. Lu Yuan had just regained his footing when he threw another punch. The punch was so fast that Lu Yuan only had time to put his spear in front of him before he was hit again. His body was thrown more than 10 meters away, and he spat out another mouthful of blood. Lu Yuan struggled to stand up. He only felt a burning pain in his internal organs. It was as if his entire body had been blasted apart. If it wasn't for the golden dragon martial soul that gave him a strong physique, that punch just now would have taken half of his life. He looked at the spear in his hand. The spear shaft was completely bent, and there were traces of blood on it. It was caused by the rupture of the web between his thumb and forefinger. Obuchi, seeing Lu Yuan's miserable state, the fellow's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. One soul skill after another was added onto the demonic ape's body as if they were free of charge. Dad, I'm fine. Lu Yuan coughed. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He said, attack its neck. Lu Yuan had pierced a small hole in the demonic ape's neck, and the dent at the tip of the spear had left an irreparable injury on the demonic ape. Seeing that Lu Yuan was fine, the fellows relaxed a lot. Soon, they found the wound on the demonic ape's neck. Die, you bastard! Fellows relied on his agility to attack the demonic ape from afar. Even though the demonic ape was powerful, its attacks were getting weaker and weaker as it continued to bleed. It was no longer a threat to fellows. Finally, after more than 10 minutes, the demonic ape's gigantic body fell to the ground with a loud thud. Fresh blood flowed out from its neck. Obuchi, the fellows shouted. Lu Yuan endured the pain in his body. Holding the bent spear, he stabbed it into the demonic ape's neck. The enormous force penetrated the demonic ape's skull, and the demonic ape's brain was churned into a mess. Finally, the demonic ape, which was strong enough to fight against a 3,000 to 4,000-year-old beast, died at the hands of the two of them. This battle wasn't an easy one. One of them was a soul ancestor, while the other was a soul warrior who possessed the golden dragon martial soul. His strength was far beyond his peers, and he was a soul warrior who possessed the innate full soul force. Even so, both of them were still injured. What a demon ape! Since the demonic ape was dead, a dark yellow soul ring with traces of purple appeared from the demonic ape's corpse and floated above it. Obuchi, are you confident? The power of this soul ring might be beyond your imagination. The fellows knew Lu Yuan well since they were young, and believed that he could absorb soul rings that exceeded the limits of ordinary people. However, the demonic ape in front of them wasn't simple. The battle just now was quite strenuous. Yes, Lu Yuan nodded and said, "This demonic ape's soul ring is very suitable for me." The demonic ape's soul ring was something that could only be encountered by chance. Today, they were extremely lucky to have met this demonic ape that was still in its infancy in the soul-hunting forest. None of the soul beasts that Grandmaster had conceived could compare to the demonic ape. The demonic ape was similar to the Titan ape, only slightly inferior. It was extremely good at strength and defense, and its speed wasn't weak either. It could be said that it didn't have any shortcomings. It was very suitable for Lu Yuan, so how could he give it up? Then be careful. Don't force yourself. The fellows knew that once Lu Yuan made up his mind, no one could stop him. Thus, he could only agree. Lu Yuan nodded. He came in front of the demonic ape's corpse and sat down cross-legged. He waved his hand gently, and the demonic ape's soul ring flew above his head. A strong and explosive energy surged into Lu Yuan's body from the top of his head, causing his meridians to swell and hurt. I wasn't even afraid of you when you were alive. Why would I be afraid of a mere soul ring? Lu Yuan made up his mind. He forcefully circulated the golden dragon's soul power in his body and began to forcibly refine the soul ring's power. The demonic ape was an overbearing and powerful soul beast without a doubt. However, the golden dragon was the true pinnacle of beast souls. Almost no other martial soul in the world could compare to its domineering aura. It could be said that neither side was willing to give an inch. The golden dragon's soul power in Lu Yuan's body and the demonic ape's soul ring's power began to collide intensely. This caused Lu Yuan, who was absorbing the soul ring, to tremble slightly. The demonic ape had died a tragic death, so its remnant resentment was very strong. This made it more difficult for Lu Yuan to absorb the soul ring. In Lu Yuan's sea of consciousness, a huge golden dragon and a black demonic ape were engaged in an intense battle. This huge golden dragon was the convergence of Lu Yuan's martial soul, the golden dragon. Every martial soul had its own spirituality. It was just that many soul masters were unable to discover it in their entire lives. Martial souls weren't inanimate objects. The black demonic ape was the remnant resentment in the demonic ape's soul ring. The two of them were engaged in an intense battle. Although the demonic ape's energy was strong, Lu Yuan's willpower was also far superior to his peers. In addition, the golden dragon had a certain amount of pressure on soul beasts. As time passed, the demonic ape's resentment gradually fell into a disadvantage. In the outside world, Lu Yuan's situation began to calm down as the golden dragon gained the upper hand. He was no longer trembling, and his breathing was also gradually stabilizing. The absorption of the soul ring had entered a good state. Seeing that Lu Yuan's situation was slowly stabilizing, the fellows also secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed like there shouldn't be any problems. Looking at the demonic ape's huge body that was close to 3 meters tall, the fellows thought. A long sword appeared in his hand, and he cut the demonic ape's body. Suddenly, a cracking sound attracted the fellows' attention. On the demonic ape's left palm, a sparkling and translucent bone, was emitting a dim light. Chapter 11. The fellows glanced in the direction of the Grandmaster. Seeing that he didn't seem to be paying attention to the situation here, he flicked the tip of his sword lightly and quickly stored the soul bone into his soul tool. The sky gradually brightened, and Tang San and Lu Yuan were still absorbing the soul ring. The fellows and the Grandmaster each guarded the two of them for the entire night. The dewdrops in the morning drenched the clothes of the four people, and the red sun had unknowingly risen into the sky. Time passed quickly, and it was noon again. At this time, Tang San had already finished absorbing the soul ring. The three of them sat not far from Lu Yuan to protect him. Did Obuchi absorb the soul ring of this demonic ape? Tang San asked curiously. Yes. The Grandmaster nodded and said, this demonic ape is about 900 years old. Looking at Obuchi, he should be done absorbing it soon. The golden dragon is indeed an incredible martial soul. Tang San was silent. The fellows ignored the two of them, and his eyes were fixed on Lu Yuan. In Lu Yuan's mind, the golden dragon was still as huge as before. However, the demonic ape that was roaring at the sky had shrunk a lot. It was unable to retaliate against the golden dragon's attack. Roar! The golden dragon roared at the sky, and the dragon's roar didn't stop. The golden dragon flapped its golden wings, and the golden dragon opened its mouth and swallowed the demonic ape in one gulp. At the same time, Lu Yuan's eyes, which had been tightly shut, suddenly opened. His eyes suddenly opened, and his black pupils became as bright as gold. His originally gentle gaze became cold, and when his golden eyes closed, a noble aura was revealed. Roar! Lu Yuan roared at the sky, and the dragon's roar didn't stop. The golden dragon's aura spread and caused a commotion among the soul beasts in the soul-hunting forest. After roaring at the sky for a while, the pent-up anger in his heart finally dissipated. Lu Yuan stretched, and the gold in his eyes gradually faded. Obuchi, how is it? The fellows quickly asked. The corners of Lu Yuan's mouth curled up into a smile. I feel very good. My physical fitness has at least doubled. My strength and defense have increased substantially. The demonic sky ape is good at strength and defense, so it's not surprising that its body has improved in all aspects. What's your first soul skill? Grandmaster asked. Lu Yuan smiled and said, my first soul skill is called Golden Dragon Fist. This skill increases my strength by 100% and my speed and defense by 50%. Furthermore, with every 10 ranks, my strength will increase by 10% and my speed and defense will increase by 5%. Doesn't that mean that when you become a title Douluo, the strength of your first soul skill alone will be doubled, and your speed and defense will be doubled as well? Grandmaster was astonished. Yes, Lu Yuan nodded. Although the Golden Dragon Fist was an offensive skill, it could increase his speed and defense at the same time. This was due to the strength of his Golden Dragon martial soul, as well as the demonic sky ape. The demonic sky ape was a top-ranked soul beast in the world of soul beasts, second only to the transcendent soul beasts. Its status in the world of soul beasts could be said to be second only to the Titan giant ape and the dark golden terraclaw bear. Grandmaster was astonished. The Golden Dragon Fist was clearly an offensive soul skill, but it actually had a status effect. This was simply unheard of. Is the Golden Dragon really that strong? Can you let me see the effect? Grandmaster calmed himself and asked. Yes, Golden Dragon Possession. Golden scales crawled up the sides of Lu Yuan's face, and the muscles on his arms suddenly expanded. His arms were covered in diamond-shaped dragon scales. A yellow soul ring with traces of purple floated around Lu Yuan's body. After finding a 10-meter-tall tree, Lu Yuan raised his right arm. First soul skill, Golden Dragon Fist. A golden dragon head emerged from his small fist, and Lu Yuan's fist smashed into the tree trunk. Bang! The fist collided with the tree trunk, and a loud sound rang out. For a moment, wood splinters flew everywhere. Crack! The 10-meter-tall tree collapsed with a loud bang, and the tree trunk fell to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. This, Grandmaster took a step forward and carefully examined the broken tree trunk on the ground. The fist imprint on it was clearly visible. The veins on the tree trunk had all been broken by this punch, and the entire tree trunk had been smashed into tiny splinters. One could only imagine how powerful that punch was. Hiss! Grandmaster sucked in a breath of cold air. Based on the splinters on the tree trunk, the force of that punch was at least 2,500 kilograms. 2,500 kilograms. What kind of concept was that? If the force of 2,500 kilograms landed on a person's body, it could instantly cause a non-defensive Soul Elder to lose their ability to fight. If the Soul Elder's body was weaker, they could even lose their life. Of course, this didn't mean that Lu Yuan could defeat a Soul Elder right now. If he really met a Soul Elder, they wouldn't just stand there and let him hit them. It could only be said that Lu Yuan had the ability to heavily injure a Soul Elder. It was already very rare for a Soul Master to have the strength to injure a Soul Elder. Before he had used his Soul Rings, Lu Yuan's punches could only exert around 2,000 kilograms of force with the help of his Golden Dragon Martial Soul. However, after using his first Soul Ring, Lu Yuan's physical strength had been greatly enhanced. With the help of his Golden Dragon Fist, his punches had already exceeded 2,500 kilograms. Tang Xin couldn't help but narrow his eyes. In all fairness, would he be able to withstand such a force? The answer was no. Although Tang San had twin martial souls, in terms of physical strength, even the Blue-Silver Emperor and Clear Sky Hammer combined couldn't compare to the Golden Dragon Martial Soul. If Tang San wanted to surpass Lu Yuan in the future, he wouldn't have the slightest chance unless his twin martial souls were fully equipped with soul rings. Not bad. Lu Yuan nodded in satisfaction. The return of the demon ape's soul ring was indeed bountiful. With his current strength, he was invincible within the Soul Master realm. He had the courage to do so. This was the strength of the Golden Dragon Martial Soul. Grandmaster turned to Lu Yuan and said, "Not bad. It seems that the demon ape's soul ring has brought you great benefits. I think your soul power should be higher than rank 11 right now. After absorbing the demon ape's soul ring, my soul power has greatly increased. My current soul power should be around rank 14. Lu Yuan said. According to the power contained in the demon ape's soul ring, it wasn't strange for Lu Yuan's soul power to jump 3 ranks. Seeing Lu Yuan's powerful soul skill, the fellows felt very satisfied. The more outstanding Lu Yuan was, the happier he felt. He smiled and said, "Since you've finished absorbing your soul rings, it's time for us to return to the academy." "Yes, it's time to go back." Grandmaster also expressed his agreement. Lu Yuan and Tang San naturally didn't have any objections. They packed up their things and returned to the academy with the two of them. Chapter 12. When they returned to Nodding Academy, the students of Nodding Academy had already started their normal classes. "Old man, you want me to go to class?" Lu Yuan looked at the fellows doubtfully. "What do you want to do if you don't go to class at your age?" The fellows said snappily. "Okay." Lu Yuan shrugged helplessly and said, "Which class am I in?" Although Nodding Academy was only an elementary Soul Master Academy, the first grade still had 4 classes. "Of course you're in Class 1. The fellows said. Class 1 was Nodding Academy's key class, and the students' comprehensive strength was the highest among the 4 classes. The students' innate soul powers were generally at rank 3 or above. As for the rest of the classes, the students' soul powers were somewhat uneven. Some were only at rank 1 or half, while some were at rank 2, but generally they wouldn't exceed rank 4. Therefore, the students of Class 1 would generally have a sense of superiority when facing the students of the other classes. "Oh, that Tang San seems to be in Class 1 too." The fellows seemed to have thought of something and said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan nodded. Although the blue-silver grass was a trash martial soul in their eyes, it was enough for Tang San to enter Class 1 with just his innate full soul powers. "Prepare yourself and report tomorrow." The fellows said. I understand. The next day, students, a new student has joined our class today. Everyone, please give him a round of applause. Student, introduce yourself to everyone. Class 1's form teacher was a female teacher, a rank 21 Soul Grandmaster. Lu Yuan walked up to the podium and looked at the group of children below. He said in a clear voice, "Hello everyone. My name is Lu Yuan." 1 second, 2 seconds passed. That's it. The female teacher's expression was somewhat astonished. And Lu Yuan nodded. He didn't have anything else to say. The female teacher laughed awkwardly and said, "Student Lu Yuan, find a seat and sit down." Lu Yuan glanced around and sat down at an empty table next to Tang San. "All right, students, let's begin today's lesson." The female teacher's knowledge was quite rich. She also had a good understanding of the martial soul class. She spoke eloquently, but to Lu Yuan, he already knew these things 2 years ago. Yawning in boredom, Lu Yuan began to look around. At this time, he found a girl who was also looking around like him. This girl was quite cute. She wore a pink short skirt, had a scorpion braid, and had a pink hair accessory on her head. Sitting beside Tang San, this girl should be Xiao Wu, right? Their eyes met, and Lu Yuan nodded kindly. Then, he turned his head away. Xiao Wu tilted her cute little head and asked Tang San softly, "Little San, do you know that Lu Yuan?" Tang San, who was listening attentively, tilted his head and said, "I do. We met a few days ago when we went to obtain our first soul ring." I think his strength isn't simple. Xiao Wu's large eyes blinked, revealing a trace of light. Tang San paused, then said, "He's very strong." Thinking back to the day when Lu Yuan broke the tree with a single punch, a trace of fighting spirit flashed past Tang San's eyes. "He's very strong." Xiao Wu's eyes darted around, as if she was thinking of something. Lu Yuan was really bored, so he took out a pencil and drew on the table. Speaking of which, he hadn't done this kind of thing for many years in his previous life. Now that he was revisiting it, he felt that it was quite interesting. Last time, when he hunted a soul beast, his fine iron spear was broken by a single punch from the demonic ape. Lu Yuan had the idea of making a new spear. Thinking about it again, if he had a tougher and sharper spear, then when he stabbed the demonic ape's neck, he wouldn't have only pierced a small part of the spear. Instead, the tip of the spear would have gone in. One stab would have been enough to heavily injure the demonic ape, and he and his cheap father wouldn't have been injured. It just so happened that now that he had nothing to do, Lu Yuan could use this time to properly design his own weapon. Holding a pencil, Lu Yuan wrote and drew on the table. Sometimes his brows would knit, and sometimes his lips would curl into a smile. Xiao Wu, who was watching from the side, even suspected that he had schizophrenia. Very quickly, the morning passed, and the female teacher also finished her eloquent speech. Students, class dismissed. Following the female teacher's command, the students began to disperse. Lu Yuan stretched his back. After an entire morning, he had already mentally prepared a draft for the new spear design. Now that he was a bit hungry, he would go to the cafeteria to eat something first. Beside him, Tang San and Xiao Wu had also tidied up their things and were preparing to go to the cafeteria to eat. Together, Lu Yuan raised his eyebrows. "Okay," Tang San replied. "Hello, I'm Xiao Wu as in dance." Xiao Wu took the initiative to jump up and greet him. She was a very friendly person. "Wu as in dance? What kind of dance do you want to dance? Is it square dancing?" Lu Yuan inwardly wondered. "Hello, Xiao Wu, I'm Lu Yuan." Lu Yuan faintly smiled as he replied. "I know, you said it when you introduced yourself." Xiao Wu said, "You're so interesting. Teacher's awkward expression is so funny." Xiao Wu giggled, looking exactly like a little witch. Lu Yuan could only reply with a faint smile. Tang San helplessly shook his head and said, "Obuchi Xiao Wu, let's go." The three of them walked side by side towards the cafeteria. The cafeteria was a bit of a walk away from the school building, but it wasn't very far. The three of them chatted along the way and quickly arrived at the cafeteria. "You guys haven't eaten on the second floor yet, right?" Lu Yuan asked. He had some understanding of Tang San's family background. The prices on the second floor were on the expensive side, and Tang San and Xiao Wu probably couldn't afford it. Sure enough, Xiao Wu shook her head and said, "The food on the second floor is really expensive. We can't afford it." After she finished speaking, she touched her shriveled little purse, and the 6 silver soul coins inside were clearly visible. Tang San was somewhat astonished. He said, "Xiao Wu, didn't you just receive your allowance yesterday? How come you only have 6 silver soul coins left?" Ever since he had returned from hunting for soul rings, he had followed the master's instructions and gone to the Martial Soul Palace to receive his allowance. When Xiao Wu heard that she could receive money, she also went to the Martial Soul Palace to register. However, she didn't expect that the 1 gold soul coin she had was only left with 6 silver soul coins after a day. Xiao Wu crisply said, "I want to buy beautiful clothes." Xiao Wu's face was slightly red, and it seemed that she was somewhat embarrassed by her extravagant spending. Register at the Martial Soul Palace? It's time to make a trip to the Martial Soul Palace. He hadn't forgotten about the mission he had signed in, and it was time to go to the Martial Soul Palace. After hearing Xiao Wu's words, Tang San was somewhat helpless. "Let's go to the second floor to eat today. It's my treat." Lu Yuan waved his hand and said generously, "Yay, Lu Yuan, you're really generous." Xiao was very happy. She had been drooling over the food on the second floor for a long time, but she couldn't bear to spend money. Speaking of which, girls were indeed very strange. They were willing to spend money on beautiful clothes, but were unwilling to spend money on food. "This isn't good, Obuchi." Tang San was somewhat hesitant. He had never liked to take advantage of others. "It's fine, it's just a meal. When you have money in the future, you can just treat me back," Lu Yuan said as he patted Tang San's shoulder. After hearing this, Tang San nodded. Since Lu Yuan had said this, he couldn't refuse. The 3 of them walked side by side into the cafeteria on the second floor. Chapter 13. The second floor of Notting Academy's cafeteria was more expensive. Generally speaking, those who ate here were the children of nobles. Ordinary self-funded students and working students couldn't afford the food on the second floor. The biggest difference between the first floor and the second floor was that the food on the first floor was ordinary, while the food on the second floor came from soul beasts. Even though they were only low-level soul beasts were still soul beasts. The nutritional value of soul beasts was far greater than that of ordinary livestock. Because of this, the food on the second floor was more expensive. Xiao didn't know what it meant to be polite. Under Lu Yuan's silent approval, she ordered a few dishes that were more special. Lu Yuan, on the other hand, ordered a few of his favorite dishes. The tendons of the plate, rhinoceros, came from the 10-year soul beast plate, rhinoceros. After being stewed with medicinal ingredients, they were golden yellow in color. They were soft and glutinous, but didn't lose their elasticity. They tasted delicious and melted in the mouth. Furthermore, they were very good for strengthening one's bones. The roasted wings of the rainbow void chicken were made from the wings of the 10-year soul beast rainbow void chicken. After being processed by the chef, they were golden and translucent. The meat of the wings was still covered in golden fat. It could be said that they were exceptionally delicious. Stir-fried green vine core was made from the 10-year soul beast green vine. The skin of the green vine was peeled off, and the tender core was blanched in boiling water to remove the bitterness. High-quality yellow pepper was added, and the meat was stir-fried. It was sweet and crispy. It was truly a delicacy. The bamboo duck soup was made from the 10-year soul beast green bamboo. The bamboo shoots were paired with the 10-year soul beast white jade duck. They were stewed over a small fire for a full 6 hours before the soup was finished. The taste of the soup was so delicious that it made people swallow their tongues. These dishes were considered the most expensive even on the second floor. Normally, even Lu Yuan would only order 1 or 2 dishes. Today, he had spent a lot of money. The 4 dishes, including Xiao Wu's order, filled the entire table. Xiao Wu didn't have a big appetite, but she had a special liking for stir-fried green vine cores. Lu Yuan and Tang San, on the other hand, didn't refuse anything that came their way. With a sweep of the table, they cleaned it all up. With a round belly, Lu Yuan paid the bill. He ate a total of 15 gold soul coins for lunch. This amount of money was enough for an ordinary family to use for 3 to 4 years. It had to be said that everything related to soul masters on the Douluo continent was relatively expensive. Tang San was very satisfied with his meal. Ever since he was reborn, this was the most enjoyable meal he had eaten. Xiao Wu was the same. Her belly was round, and the corners of her mouth were glistening with oil. Ugh, Xiao Wu burped. It was obvious that she was enjoying her lunch. She pretended to pat Lu Yuan on the shoulder and said, "Not bad. Sister Xiao Wu will protect you in the future in Nodding Academy." Lu Yuan laughed involuntarily. Who in Nodding Academy would dare to provoke him? Didn't you see all the nobles on the second floor staying far away from him? Xiao Wu's observation skills were naturally not as sharp as Tang San's. She had taken in all the fear the aristocrats had towards Lu Yuan. She immediately asked, "I feel that they are all very afraid of you." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "This group of noble children usually likes to cause trouble in school. After I taught them a few lessons, they became like this." Tang San nodded. He had personally experienced such a thing on the day he entered the academy. Those nobles had made no secret of their contempt for the working students. They all deserve a beating, especially that Xiao Qinyu. Xiao Wu said angrily. She still remembered how Xiao Qinyu had bullied the working students. If not for Tang San holding her back, she would have rushed up to him and taught him a lesson. Where there are people, there will be conflict. The conflict between nobles and commoners has been going on for a long time. The academy is also a small society. The conflict between the noble students and the working students isn't something new. Isn't the academy going to do something about it? Tang San asked, puzzled. Lu Yuan shook his head. We can't. Even if we can control it for a while, it will revert back to normal after a while. The academy can't do anything about it. But Lu Yuan glanced at Tang San. If you working students can become stronger and teach those noble students a lesson, your days will be much better in the future. Tang San lowered his head and muttered to himself. Since he was a working student, he would have to solve this problem sooner or later. Nothing was more intimidating than showing off his strength. Xiao Wu's eyes lit up. Lu Yuan is right. Little San, we should teach Xiao Qinyu a lesson. Let him know that big sister Xiao Wu isn't someone to be trifled with. Tang San nodded. We'll discuss this when we get back. Hearing Tang San's words, Xiao Wu could only nod in agreement. There were no martial soul classes in the afternoon, so Lu Yuan had time to register. Lu Yuan had already been to the Martial Soul Palace once, so he was familiar with the place. Walking into the reception hall of the Martial Soul Palace, he found that Cici, the female soul master who had awakened Lu Yuan last time, wasn't there. He had no choice but to ask someone. "Excuse me, where do soul masters register?" Seeing Lu Yuan's luxurious clothes and extraordinary temperament, the Martial Soul Palace member was very patient. Go up to the second floor and turn left to the second room. You can register with Master Ma Zayuno. Okay, thank you. Tang San thanked him and walked up the stairs. He went up to the second floor and turned left. The door to the second room was ajar. This is it, Lu Yuan muttered to himself as he looked at the ajar door. He knocked on the door and an old voice called out, "Come in." When he opened the door, there were 3 people inside. One of them was an old man in his 60s or 70s, while the other 2 were a man and a woman in their 20s. Coincidentally, he had seen both of them before. One was Cici, the female soul master who had awakened his martial soul, and the other was Su Yun Tao, a tool made of iron. It seems that Brother Tao and I are fated to meet each other. I've been to the Martial Soul Palace twice, and I've run into him twice. Lu Yuan laughed inwardly. Little friend, is there something you need? Ma Zayuno asked. Oh, it's you, little friend. Cici immediately recognized Lu Yuan. After all, it was rare to see someone with innate full soul power and a powerful dragon-type martial soul. It was impossible for Cici not to have a deep impression of him. Cici, you know him? Su Yuntao asked curiously. Cici said, he's the genius who awakened me with a dragon-type martial soul and innate full soul power. Oh, Mazayuno's interest was piqued. Little friend, have you thought it through? Do you want to join our Martial Soul Palace? Lu Yuan said, I'm here to register at the Martial Soul Palace. Can I register first before we talk? Of course. You got your first soul ring so soon? Mazayuno asked curiously. He took out a blue crystal and said, You have innate full soul power. If I'm not mistaken, your soul power should be 11. Blue light flashed, and the crystal lit up. From the brightness of the crystal, Tang San could tell it was rank 14. Mazayuno was shocked. How can your soul power be rank 14? Child, can you let me see your soul ring? Lu Yuan was speechless. Chapter 14. Sure. Lu Yuan nodded. Golden Dragon, possess. Lu Yuan let out a low roar, and a resplendent golden light appeared. The golden dragon martial soul was instantly attached to his body. Beautiful and fine golden dragon scales crawled up Lu Yuan's cheeks twice, and a deep yellow soul ring with a hint of purple sparkled beautifully beneath his body. What a powerful martial soul. This is the first time I've seen such a powerful martial soul. Mazayuno exclaimed. Lu Yuan's soul power wasn't high, but the golden dragon martial soul's innate noble aura couldn't be concealed. Child, how old is your first soul ring? Judging from its color, it's quite old. Mazayuno asked. It's an 800-year-old demonic ape. Lu Yuan didn't hide anything. An 800-year-old demonic ape. Mazayuno exclaimed. No wonder your soul power increased by 3 ranks. Mazayuno's gaze towards Lu Yuan had changed. He couldn't look at him as an ordinary genius. He was a peerless monster rarely seen on the continent. The demonic ape was a top-tier soul beast, and an 800-year-old one at that. This child's future was limitless. Cece and Su Yuntao couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. His first soul ring was an 800-year-old one, while Su Yuntao, a soul grandmaster, only had a 100-year-old second soul ring. Child, are you willing to join our martial soul palace? Mazayuno looked at Lu Yuan with a fervent gaze. The child in front of him was so outstanding. A genius like him should join the martial soul palace. This old man had devoted most of his life to the martial soul palace. He sincerely hoped that the martial soul palace could grow stronger and stronger. A young soul master with limitless potential like Lu Yuan was the future of the martial soul palace. What are the benefits of joining the martial soul palace? Lu Yuan asked. Seeing that Lu Yuan seemed to have changed his mind, Mazayuno was overjoyed. He struck while the iron was hot and said, There are many benefits to joining the martial soul palace. Let me introduce them to you in detail. First of all, resources. Our martial soul palace places great emphasis on nurturing young soul masters. Once a genius like you joins the martial soul palace, you'll be able to obtain ample resources for cultivation. I guarantee that your soul power will increase rapidly. Then there's the problem of soul rings. The most important thing for a soul master is a soul ring. Our martial soul palace guarantees that if you join our martial soul palace, we will send people to help you find the most suitable soul ring when you need to advance. Third, soul bones. If you're really a genius, then as long as you can cultivate to become a soul sage, our martial soul palace will unconditionally provide you with a suitable soul bone. At the same time, you'll be able to become an elder of the main hall. Fourth, a genius with innate full soul power like you will have the opportunity to go to Martial Soul City. As long as you can pass the test, you'll have the opportunity to join the Pontiff's Palace. From then on, you'll be second only to one person. Fame and power will be at your fingertips. What do you think, child? Have you thought about joining our Martial Soul Palace? Lu Yuan muttered to himself for a moment. If I join, will I have the opportunity to go to Martial Soul City? Mazayuno nodded. Yes. In fact, every year, we will send the geniuses we recruit to Martial Soul City. As long as they can pass the test, they'll be able to join the Pontiff's Palace. Even if they don't join the Pontiff's Palace, as long as they perform well, they'll have the opportunity to join the Martial Soul Temple. With your talent, even if you don't say anything, we'll report to our superiors and send you to Martial Soul City. However, whether or not you can stay in the Pontiff's palace will depend on your own ability. But I think with your strength, your chances of success are very high. After hearing the news he wanted, Lu Yuan no longer hesitated. Then I'm willing to join the Martial Soul Palace. Really? Ma Ziyuno was delighted. Welcome to the Martial Soul Palace. I can guarantee that you won't regret it. As he spoke, he took out a money pouch from the drawer and handed it to Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan was a little confused. What's this? Ma Ziyuno smiled. Geniuses like you will receive preferential treatment if they join the Martial Soul Palace. Here are 500 gold soul coins. Consider it your first month's salary. After that, you'll be able to receive 500 gold soul coins every month. Consider it one of the benefits of the Martial Soul Palace. Is that so? Lu Yuan took the money pouch. It was free money, so why not take it? Seeing Lu Yuan's actions, Ma Ziyuno smiled and took out a contract. This is the proof of joining the Martial Soul Palace. Just sign it. Lu Yuan picked up the pen and signed his name. At this moment, Ma Ziyuno took out a small booklet. This is your Martial Soul Handbook. It contains your martial soul and proof of advancement. Take good care of it. Lu Yuan took the Martial Soul Handbook and nodded his head. Ma Ziyuno said, "We will immediately report your news to the Prince Hall on the upper level. The Prince Hall will report it to the main hall. After that, we'll report it to the higher levels. In about half a month, there will be a car to escort you to Martial Soul City. Prepare yourself." "All right. Thank you, Grandpa." Ma Ziyuno, Lu Yuan said. "You really don't seem like a 6-year-old kid." Ma Ziyuno smiled. The biggest impression he had of Lu Yuan was that he was calm and thoughtful. He didn't seem like a 6-year-old kid at all. Speaking of which, your Nodding Academy has really produced a few strange geniuses this year. I even registered 2 kids with innate full soul power yesterday. It's a pity that they weren't willing to join the Martial Soul Palace. Fortunately, I found someone with even more outstanding talent like you today. Lu Yuan smiled. He knew that Ma Ziyuno was probably talking about Tang San and Xiao Wu. "Grandpa Ma Ziyuno, I'll take my leave first." Lu Yuan smiled. "All right, go ahead," Ma Ziyuno said. Lu Yuan turned around and left. Watching Lu Yuan leave the room, Ma Ziyuno turned around and said, "Cici, this time you helped the temple unearth such a peerless genius. The temple won't treat you unfairly. I'll report your contributions to the temple master truthfully." The temple master he was talking about was naturally the temple master of the Nodding Academy's branch. "Thank you, Grandpa Ma Ziyuno." Cici's smile was like a flower, making Su Yuntao envious. Why didn't he have such luck? The only innate full soul power he awakened was the blue silver grass. Little did he know that he was the first person to awaken in the Douluo continent. Who knew how many big shots had awakened their martial souls in his hands? And without exception, they all became gods in the end. Being a tool made of iron, Brother Tao was no joke. All right, I'll stop joking. Let's get back to the main topic. Lu Yuan walked out of the Martial Soul Palace and headed towards the Nodding Academy. As soon as he entered the academy, he felt that the atmosphere was a little strange. At that moment, Lu Yuan casually stopped one of them. Chapter 15. Hello, Boss Yuan. The student who was stopped was a self-funded third-year student. He was clearly aware of Lu Yuan's reputation in Nodding Academy. What's going on? The atmosphere doesn't seem right. Boss Yuan, it's like this. Seeing that Lu Yuan wasn't looking for trouble, the student sighed in relief. This afternoon, the working students approached Boss Xiao and the other nobles and challenged them to a duel. It seems the duel has already begun. Oh. Lu Yuan was surprised. He hadn't expected Tang San and Xiao Wu to act so quickly. They'd only mentioned it in the morning, and they'd already carried it out in the afternoon. Where's the duel taking place? Lu Yuan asked. Behind the mountain. The student pointed. All right, thanks a lot. You're welcome. It's what I should do. The student seemed a little reserved in the face of Lu Yuan's gratitude. Lu Yuan felt a little helpless as he watched the student hurriedly run away. All he'd done was teach a few bullies a lesson. It wasn't like he'd bullied any of them. Why'd they treat him like he was the plague? Behind a mountain, huh? Lu Yuan muttered as he made his way to the back of the mountain. Behind a mountain, Xiao Qinyu, Lu Long, Ling Feng, and a few of his lackeys were escorted by a group of nobles. He looked arrogantly at Xiao Wu and the others. Little Rabbit, we're all here now. What do you think we should do? Xiao Wu looked at Tang San, and Tang San stepped out and said, let's compete in 3 rounds. How about the winner of 2 out of 3 rounds? Tang San's plan was very ingenious. With him and Xiao Wu around, the winner of 2 out of 3 rounds would definitely be the winner. So be it. Let's begin. Xiao Qinyu waved his hand. Lu Long, you're up. Lu Long's martial soul was a staff, and his soul power was around the 9th rank. Working students on the other side. Which one of you wants to fight me, Lu Long? Lu Long said arrogantly, brandishing his staff. I'll do it. Wang Sheng clenched his teeth and stepped forward. Apart from Tang San and Xiao Wu, he was the strongest working student present, so he had to step up. Wang Sheng's martial spirit was the War Tiger. His soul power was around the 8th rank, which was 1 rank lower than Lu Long's. However, Wang Sheng had a beast martial spirit, which made him resistant to attacks. If he could get close to Lu Long, he would have a great chance of winning. Of course, the premise was that he could get close to Lu Long, Little San. Do you think Wang Sheng can win? Xiao Wu tilted her head towards Tang San and asked softly. Difficult. Tang San shook his head and said, Wang Sheng's soul power is 1 rank lower than his opponent's. Furthermore, his opponent's martial soul is a rod. It'll be difficult for Wang Sheng to get close to him. Then what should we do? Should we just watch Wang Sheng lose? Xiao Wu was a little unwilling to accept this. In her opinion, they couldn't afford to lose even 1 round. It doesn't matter. There's still the 2 of us here. We'll definitely win. Anyway, it's a best of 3. Tang San was very optimistic. If they lost a match, then they lost a match. As long as they won in the end, it was enough. It's not like we can't win. A voice entered their ears. Wow, what did you get here? Why was there no sound at all? Xiao Wu jumped in fright when she saw Lu Yuan suddenly appear beside her. Tang San narrowed his eyes. He hadn't sensed Lu Yuan's arrival at all. Lu Yuan's phoenix dance of the 6 illusions was already incomparably skilled. Soundlessly landing was a small matter, and the 2 of them had been too busy discussing to notice him. I heard you 2 talking as soon as I got here. Lu Yuan laughed. Then how do you think Wang Sheng can win? Xiao Wu asked. Lu Yuan smiled. Wang Sheng's martial soul is the War Tiger. His skin is thick, and his body is much stronger than Lu Long's. Lu Long's martial soul is a staff. His staff is longer, so it'll be easy for him to hit Wang Sheng. Yes, if they fight like that, won't Wang Sheng have no chance of winning at all? Xiao Wu continued. Lu Yuan laughed. Don't be hasty. I'm not done yet. Lu Long is a tool soul master. His body is weak. If he's hit by Wang Sheng's tiger claws once, he'll lose his ability to fight. So Wang Sheng only needs to hit him once to win. You're saying to lure him in? Tang San's mind worked quickly. He immediately thought of the key point. Lu Yuan nodded. Yes, Lu Long has been with Xiao Qinyu for a long time. The 2 of them are jackals of the same tribe. They're arrogant and complacent, and they look down on Wang Sheng. So Wang Sheng only needs to pretend to be weak, and when Lu Long underestimates him, he'll suddenly attack. He'll definitely be able to defeat Lu Long in 1 hit, but he'll have to suffer some physical pain. And it's best for Wang Sheng to use a guerrilla tactic. Don't fight Lu Long head-on. While he's moving around, he'll exhaust Lu Long's soul power. When Lu Long's soul power is greatly depleted, he'll have a higher chance of defeating him. Of course, Wang Sheng can't let Lu Long find out. Otherwise, it won't work. So he'll still have to take a beating. Hee, as long as he can win, it's fine. Anyway, Wang Sheng's skin is thick. He won't be hurt. Xiao Wu laughed heartily when she heard that Wang Sheng could win. Wang Sheng, come here. Xiao Wu waved her hand. Sister Xiao Wu, what's the matter? Wang Sheng was ready to fight, but when he saw Xiao Wu's movement, he ran back. Come here and listen to me. Xiao Wu put her head in front of Wang Sheng's ear and repeated every word Lu Yuan said to Wang Sheng. When she was done, she patted Wang Sheng's shoulder and said, "Do you understand?" "Yes." Wang Sheng nodded. He suddenly turned around, looking like he was going to sacrifice himself for a righteous cause. Xiao Qinyu also noticed Lu Yuan. Ling Feng, who was next to Xiao Qinyu, saw Lu Yuan at a glance and quickly pulled Xiao Qinyu aside. "Boss, look, that seems to be Boss Yuan." "What? Where's he?" Hearing Lu Yuan's name, Xiao Qinyu trembled. He was really scared, and the miserable scene of him being beaten up was still vivid in his mind. "Oh, it's Boss Yuan. Xiao Qinyu, am sorry for not going out to meet you." Xiao Qinyu and Ling Feng quickly ran to Lu Yuan and greeted him. There was no other way. Everyone in Xiao Qinyu's group was not afraid of Lu Yuan. "Boss Yuan, what are you doing here?" Xiao Qinyu glanced at Tang San and Xiao Wu, who were next to Lu Yuan. He was afraid that Lu Yuan was here to help the workers. If that was the case, there was no need for them to compete. They could just admit defeat. "Don't worry. I'm just here to watch the show. You guys just fight. Don't worry about me." Lu Yuan naturally knew what Xiao Qinyu was thinking, so he waved his hand and said, "That's good, that's good." Xiao Qinyu felt lucky and said, "Boss Yuan, if there's nothing else, I'll go back first." "Go back," Lu Yuan said. With Lu Yuan's permission, Xiao Qinyu ran back to where he was. For him, standing next to Lu Yuan was really a kind of torture. "Xiao Qinyu is so afraid of you. Have you beaten him up before?" Xiao Wu asked with interest. "Yes." Lu Yuan shrugged and said, "This guy's a bully in school. Once, he provoked me. I beat him up so hard that he was bedridden for half a month. Since then, he has been afraid of me." "Oh, I see." Xiao Wu shook her cute scorpion braid and said, "Then I'll teach him a lesson later and let him know how powerful my sister Xiao Wu is." Lu Yuan and Tang Sen looked at each other and observed a minute of silence for Xiao Qinyu. Chapter 16. The battle between Wang Sheng and Lu Long was about to break out. Wang Sheng, admit defeat. "You're no match for me," Lu Long said confidently as he held his long rod. He had fought Wang Sheng many times since entering the academy, and Wang Sheng had never won. With his Class 9 soul force and his martial soul, how was Wang Sheng supposed to win? Lu Long couldn't think of anything. Wang Sheng's expression was firm. "I'll win today." Lu Long was a little confused. Looking at Wang Sheng's confident look, he really didn't know where Wang Sheng's courage came from. Does Wang Sheng have a trump card? Lu Long stared blankly for a moment before shaking his head in disdain. This guy is just a working student. How could he possibly have such a trump card? The battle was about to break out. Lu Long's staff once again struck Wang Sheng's chest. Even with the defense of Wang Sheng's beast martial spirit, he was unable to completely protect himself from the stinging pain. He unconsciously let out a cry. "Hiss! Wang Sheng's being beaten up so badly." Xiao Wu said sadly. "Xiao Wu, can you not laugh when you say that?" Lu Yuan said helplessly. Xiao Wu giggled. "I didn't think Wang Sheng's acting would be so good. I was just saying it, and he was getting beaten up so well." "That's true." Wang Sheng purposely suppressed his strength and focused his soul force on defense. He made Lu Long think he couldn't take a single hit, so he started to become careless. In reality, every time Lu Long's staff hit Wang Sheng, the damage wasn't as high as he thought it would be. Lu Yuan continued. "Lu Long and Wang Sheng have fought more than once, so Lu Long knows how strong Wang Sheng is. That's why he can't appear weak from the start. Wang Sheng's acting today was very good, and he hid his strength very well. Lu Long didn't notice anything wrong. Lu Long is a tool soul master, so his body is weak and his endurance isn't high. What makes Wang Sheng smart is that although he will be hit every time, Lu Long will spend a few rounds each time he hits him. This consumes a lot of Lu Long's stamina and soul power, but Lu Long hasn't realized this yet. Wang Sheng, on the other hand, is a soul master with a beast martial soul. He's very resilient and hasn't wasted much of his soul power. Right now, the two of them are on completely different levels," Tang San said. "The opportunity to win is right in front of us." Lu Yuan, made the final decision. Strange. Why am I getting weaker and weaker? Lu Long felt a little strange. Today, Wang Sheng seemed to be particularly resistant to beatings. In the past, Wang Sheng always liked to fight head-on. Today, however, he kept dodging. His strength seemed to have decreased by quite a bit. Strangely enough, Wang Sheng was like a live target to him in the past, and he could hit him however he wanted. But today, he had expended so much soul force, but the number of times he was able to hit Wang Sheng had decreased significantly. As time passed, he found that his strength was getting weaker and weaker. Now's the time. Sensing that Lu Long's strength had weakened and his movements had slowed down, Wang Sheng used all of his remaining soul force to send Lu Long's staff flying. A tiger claw slammed towards Lu Long's body. Not good. Wang Sheng's sudden outburst startled Lu Long, unable to dodge in time. Lu Long was slapped in the face. He flew back several meters and fainted on the spot. Lu Long, seeing Lu Long suddenly sent flying by Wang Sheng's slap, they couldn't help but let out a startled cry. Lu Long had clearly been crushing Wang Sheng just a moment ago. How had the situation suddenly reversed? Lu Long had been sent flying. Sister Xiao Wu, I won. Wang Sheng roared like a tiger. He was as happy as a child. Ever since he entered Nodding Academy, he had never beaten Lu Long. Today, he had finally fulfilled his dream. Well done, Wang Sheng. You didn't disappoint Sister Xiao Wu. Go and rest. Xiao Wu patted Wang Sheng's shoulder and told him to go rest. Xiao Qinyu, we, the working students, have won the first round. Who are you going to send for the next round? Xiao Wu asked. Ling Feng, you go. Xiao Qinyu sent out his top general. In that case, I'll go up on the side of the working students. Tang, Sin said as he stepped forward and faced Ling Feng. Boy, I'll show you what I'm made of. As Xiao Qinyu's #1 follower, Ling Feng had his own pride. He would show these working students how strong he was. The battle was about to begin. Pung pa, a figure flew out, and Ling Feng flew back a few meters, following in Lu Long's footsteps. A simple kick was enough to make Ling Feng feel what it was like to be beaten up by society. Who is this boy? He defeated Ling Feng in one move. Xiao Qinyu's face darkened. He hadn't expected 2 of his top generals to lose to a working student. How could he accept this? Xiao Qinyu, it's best of 3. You've lost. We've won. Xiao was very happy. From now on, you have to call me Sister Xiao Wu. Stop dreaming, little rabbit. I, Xiao Qinyu, haven't lost yet. Xiao Qinyu was used to being a tyrant. How could he acknowledge a little girl as his boss? Did he not want to lose face? Are you going back on your word? Tang San stepped forward. He had always been a man of his words and despised people who didn't keep their promises. You haven't beaten me yet. I'm not convinced. Unless one of you can defeat me, I'll never admit defeat. Xiao Qinyu was very confident in his strength. Since Lu Yuan had made it clear that he wouldn't fight, he didn't think anyone here could defeat him. Fine, I'll play with you then. Tang San stepped forward. Let me Xiao Qinyu. Xiao Wu said to Tang San. Xiao Qinyu had actually refused to admit defeat. She had to teach him a lesson. There's no need. You don't need to fight Xiao Qinyu. I'm more than enough. After obtaining his first soul ring, he had yet to test its power. Perhaps Xiao Qinyu would be the first to taste its power. Xiao Qinyu, Martial Soul Wolf, rank 11, One-Ringed Soul Master. A white soul ring lit up around Xiao Qinyu's body. He didn't underestimate Tang San, who had defeated Ling Feng in one move. This kid deserved to be treated seriously. Tang San, Martial Soul Blue Silver Grass, rank 13, One-Ringed Soul Master. Blue silver grass appeared in Tang San's hand, and his 100-year soul ring glowed with a yellow light. Lu Yuan watched the confrontation between the 2 men and turned to leave. At this point, the rise of the working students was unstoppable. There was no need to continue watching. Lu Yuan's silhouette gradually faded into the distance until it gradually disappeared. Chapter 17. When Xiao Qinyu encountered Tang San, the outcome was obvious. A simple entanglement soul skill was all it took to end everything. It was worth mentioning that after Tang, San beat Xiao Qinyu up. Xiao Wu also went on the stage and beat Xiao Qinyu up beyond recognition. Xiao Wu's name had spread throughout the Nodding Academy. The duel caused the status of the working students in Nodding Academy to rise rapidly. Nowadays, no noble students dared to bully the working students. As for Xiao Wu, she ran amok in the academy all day long, provoking the senior students who were already soul masters. She had never lost a single match and was now in the limelight. It had been 4 days since the duel. During this time, Lu Yuan had been meditating and perfecting his spear design. The spear was 2 meters long, and there was a golden dragon coiled around the body of the spear. Its golden scales were vivid and lifelike, and the dragon spat out a cold blade. It was the tip of the spear, and there were several barbs and blood grooves on both sides of the tip. Once it pierced into a person's body, blood would gush out in an instant. Looking at the design in his hand, Lu Yuan smiled with satisfaction. He folded it and put it into his soul ring. Then, he slowly walked out of Nodding Academy to find a blacksmith to forge his spear. There were many blacksmith shops in Nodding City, but the one with the greatest reputation and the best craftsmanship belonged to the blacksmith shop on the east side of Nodding Academy. This blacksmith shop valued integrity when doing business, and its prices were moderate. It had always been popular with the residents of Nodding City. The blacksmith shop wasn't far from Nodding Academy. After walking for about a kilometer, the crisp sound of iron being forged could be heard. "Looks like I'm here." Looking at the iron flag fluttering in the wind and the rising temperature outside the blacksmith shop, Lu Yuan couldn't help but stop in his tracks. He turned around and stepped in the blacksmith shop. The temperature suddenly rose. It was the heat of the furnace. As soon as Lu Yuan stepped into the blacksmith shop, a muscular man appeared in front of Lu Yuan. "What can I do for you, kid?" "Hello, uncle. I want to forge a spear. Can you do it here?" Lu Yuan asked. "What kind of material do you want? Do you have any specific requirements for the weight, length, and style of the spear?" The burly man asked. Lu Yuan said, "I want black-veined iron and fine gold for the body of the spear. I want the spearhead to be made of sky-hard cold iron. In order to ensure flexibility, it's best to add heavy silver to the spear. The spear should be about 2 meters long, and the weight should be about 200 to 300 pounds. Little friend, are you joking?" The large man was astonished. The metals that Lu Yuan had quoted weren't ordinary metals. Without exception, they were all precious metals. A kilogram of these metals cost several gold soul coins, and this was only the cost price. If not for the luxurious clothes that Lu Yuan was wearing, he would have thought that Lu Yuan was joking. Lu Yuan naturally knew what the man was thinking. He said on the spot, "Uncle, you don't have to worry about the money. I will pay half of the deposit first. I want to know if anyone here can forge it. This is the blueprint for the spear." As he spoke, he handed the blueprint of the spear that he had already drawn to the large man. The large man took the blueprint skeptically and carefully examined it. After a while, he exclaimed in surprise, "What a detailed blueprint! However, it's very difficult to forge it according to your blueprint. Can I forge it? Money isn't a problem." Right now, Lu Yuan was really lacking in money. Other than the 500 gold soul coins that the Martial Soul Palace had given him, he had also gotten 1,000 gold soul coins from the fellows. It was enough to forge a spear. The large man sighed and said, "According to your blueprint, the requirements for this spear are very high. I can't do it. However, you came at the right time. I have a new worker in my shop. With his hammering skills, he should be able to forge it. Then please take me to see it." Lu Yuan was overjoyed and said, "All right then, follow me." He followed the large man into the smithy. There were many compartments in the smithy. These compartments were specially designed so that blacksmiths wouldn't be disturbed when they were forging delicate items. Blacksmiths who were able to have these compartments were generally very skilled. In front of one of the compartments, there wasn't a door. Instead, there was a curtain separating the compartment from the outside. This was for the sake of ventilation. "Little San, are you free? We have business," the large man said towards the compartment. "Uncle Iron, what's the matter?" The curtain opened and a short figure walked out. Tang San, Lu Yuan. When they saw each other, the two of them couldn't help but cry out at the same time. Do you know each other? The large man was a little curious. We're both students of Nodding Academy. We're even classmates, Tang San explained. What a coincidence. The large man couldn't help but laugh. Lu Yuan, are you here to forge something? Tang San asked. Yes. Lu Yuan nodded and said, my spear is broken, so I came here to forge a new one. However, my requirements for the spear are a little high. This uncle said that only you can forge it. Here's the blueprint. The large man handed the blueprint to Tang San. Tang San took the blueprint and looked at it carefully. He said, it can be forged, but it will take a lot of effort. It will take at least a week to complete. Moreover, if it's forged according to the blueprint's requirements, it will weigh at least 300 jin. It's so heavy, can you use it? If he wanted to freely wield a 300 jin spear, he would need at least 10 times the strength. Although Lu Yuan's strength wasn't small, it was still a problem whether he could wield such a heavy spear. I can. Lu Yuan nodded. His current strength had already reached 2,000 jin without using his martial soul. After using his martial soul, it reached 3,000 jin. If he used his first soul skill, it would double, directly surpassing 5,000 jin. He could still wield a 300 jin spear. Is that so? Then leave it to me. Tang San smiled and patted his chest. The materials used for this spear were very particular. Once it was forged, its power would far surpass ordinary weapons. Tang San was still very interested in such a weapon. Does this spear have a name? You can engrave it when you forge the spear. Tang San asked. Let's call it the World-Shocking Spear, the Emperor Dragon World-Shocking Spear. Lu Yuan said. The Emperor Dragon World-Shocking Spear is a perfect match for your martial soul. Tang San expressed his approval of the name Lu Yuan came up with. The Emperor Dragon World-Shocking Spear and his Golden Dragon Martial Soul complemented each other. Complemented each other? The most compatible with the Golden Dragon should be the Golden Dragon Spear. What a pity. Lu Yuan sighed inwardly. The Golden Dragon Spear was the standard for the Golden Dragon Martial Soul. However, his Golden Dragon Martial Soul came inexplicably, and he didn't know where to find the Golden Dragon Spear. He could only forge a spear for now. Then I'll leave it to you. Little San, Uncle, let's pay the deposit. Chapter 18. After paying the deposit of 480 gold soul coins, Lu Yuan left the blacksmith shop. The creation of a divine weapon wasn't done in a day. According to Tang San, it would take at least a week. His days continued as usual, and 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. The students of Nodding Academy only attended classes 5 days a week, with Saturday and Sunday being their rest days. However, Lu Yuan would never stop cultivating, no matter the day of the week. He was panting heavily. This was his 40th round in the morning. Ever since he had awakened his martial soul, this was one of his daily compulsory exercises, running with weights. He had set a training goal for himself by running 40 laps around Nodding Academy while wearing a special 50-kilogram chainmail. Nodding Academy was very big. From the main gate to the back mountain, one lap was at least 2.5 kilometers. 40 laps was 100 kilometers, and it was still running with weights. This was almost unimaginable for ordinary people. When the master heard about Lu Yuan's training, he was also dumbfounded. Running 100 kilometers every morning was a huge challenge, even for a soul elder, not to mention that he had to carry weights. Not only did Lu Yuan carry weights, he didn't use his soul power during the running and only relied on his physical fitness. It had to be said that this news shocked the master. While he sighed at the abnormal power of the Golden Dragon Martial Soul, he couldn't help but admire Lu Yuan's perseverance. In fact, Lu Yuan found it difficult to persevere in the first few days. Every time he finished running, he would faint. If it wasn't for the medicinal bath that the fellows prepared in advance, he would have been crippled. After a few days, Lu Yuan had clearly become more at ease. After 40 laps, although he was still exhausted, he didn't faint anymore. His physical fitness had improved. Lying in the wooden bucket that was prepared in advance, there was a brown medicinal liquid inside. It had a significant effect on strengthening one's physical fitness and recovering from fatigue. This was the prescription that the fellows had obtained from a master. Although the master's soul power was low, he knew much more about these things than the fellows, who was a soul ancestor. After all, he was a master who could be said to be invincible in theory. In terms of teaching students, there weren't many people in the entire continent who could compete with him. After running for about 2 hours, Lu Yuan felt that his entire body was much more comfortable. The medicinal effects of the potion were almost completely absorbed. After wiping off the medicine on his body and changing into a clean set of clothes, he looked much more energetic. She had just changed her clothes when the fellows walked in. There's news from the Martial Soul Palace. In 3 days, the Martial Soul Palace will send someone to pick you up and bring you to Martial Spirit City. The fellows said. 3 days later? I got it. Lu Yuan nodded. The fellows looked at Lu Yuan with a complicated expression and asked, "Why must you join the Martial Soul Palace? Isn't it good to be a free soul master?" As the dean of Nodding Academy, the fellows belonged to the Heaven-Do Empire and not the Martial Soul Palace. Therefore, he wasn't very supportive of Lu Yuan's decision to join the Martial Soul Palace. Faced with the fellow's question, Lu Yuan smiled faintly and said, "Dad, do you think that with my talent, I can still survive if I don't join the Martial Soul Palace?" The fellows didn't say anything. Lu Yuan wasn't like Tang San and Xiao Wu. One of them had blue silvergrass, and the other had soft-bone demon rabbit, which weren't very strong martial souls. Although they had innate, full soul power, the Martial Soul Palace wouldn't pay too much attention to them. However, Lu Yuan was different. His martial soul was the Golden Dragon, the best beast martial soul. The people of the Martial Soul Palace wouldn't let him go. That's right. Although the people of the Martial Soul Branch Palace didn't know about the legend of the Golden Dragon, there was no lack of knowledgeable people in the Martial Soul Main Palace and Martial Soul Temple. Even if they hadn't seen a powerful martial soul like the Golden Dragon, they had definitely heard of it. Not to mention the current Pope, who had researched martial souls together with the Grandmaster. How could someone like him not know about the Golden Dragon? Therefore, from the moment Lu Yuan's Golden Dragon martial soul was revealed, he was destined to join the Martial Soul Palace. Furthermore, he had no choice but to sign in on the system's missions. The fellows couldn't refute Lu Yuan's words. He had some understanding of the Martial Soul Palace's actions in recent years. If a genius wasn't useful to them, they would be killed. This kind of thing happened almost every day on the Douluo continent. With Lu Yuan's talent, if he didn't join the Martial Soul Palace, he would definitely be silenced by the Martial Soul Palace. The fellows was a mere soul ancestor, so he couldn't protect Lu Yuan. AI, forget it. The fellows sighed. For the first time, he hated his own incompetence. Seeing that the fellows' mood wasn't good, Lu Yuan smiled and said, "There's nothing bad about joining the Martial Soul Palace. With your son's talent, do you think I won't be able to do well in the Martial Soul Palace? Therefore, you don't have to worry too much." "I hope so." The fellows waved his hand and said. Lu Yuan smiled. Suddenly, he thought of something and said, "Old man, it's best that you don't spread the news that you've joined the Martial Soul Palace. Especially not to let the Grandmasters know." "Why?" The fellows didn't understand. "You should have heard about the dirty dealings between the Grandmasters and the Martial Soul Palace, right?" Lu Yuan asked. The fellows nodded and said, "You don't have to say anything. I understand. I'll keep it a secret." "That's good." Lu Yuan smiled with satisfaction. Even though he had joined the Martial Soul Palace, his identity couldn't be revealed. Perhaps he would need it in the future when he carried out some mission. At the very least, his identity as the Martial Soul Palace would be very inconvenient when he interacted with Grandmasters Tang San and the others. The fellows stared at Lu Yuan and glanced around. Everything was still quiet. A black light flashed, and the fellows took out a sparkling metacarpal bone from his soul tool and passed it to Lu Yuan. "This is?" Lu Yuan was astonished when he received the metacarpal bone. This wasn't an ordinary soul bone. It was a soul bone that was attached to the 6 main soul bones of the human body. Where did the fellows get such a high-quality soul bone? Lu Yuan carefully examined the soul bone in his hand. He felt that the aura of this soul bone was somewhat familiar. This is the soul bone of the demonic ape. I found it when you were absorbing the soul ring, so I kept it. You can absorb it. The fellow said, Old man, why don't you use it yourself? This will greatly increase your strength, Lu Yuan said. The fellow shook his head and said, I'm already over 60 years old. I don't have much room for improvement in this lifetime. It's a waste to give this soul bone to me. However, you're different. You're still young and have unlimited potential. It's just right for you. Furthermore, if you absorb the soul ring and soul bone of the same soul beast together, the benefits will be even greater. You can absorb it first. I'll protect you, the fellow said. Hearing this, Lu Yuan held the sky-high, metacarpal bone tightly. His heart was filled with a feeling called touched. Chapter 19. In the world of soul masters, there was a soul master's dream ranking. The external soul bone was ranked second only to the nearly impossible 100,000-year soul ring. A 100,000-year soul beast was equivalent to a human titled Douluo and was extremely difficult to kill. In the entire Douluo continent, the number of soul masters with a 100,000-year soul ring could be counted on one hand. Once they obtained a 100,000-year soul ring, they would definitely obtain a 100,000-year soul bone. This was also why the external soul bone was ranked second to the 100,000-year soul ring in the soul master's dream ranking. After all, under normal circumstances, an external soul bone would only be equivalent to a 100,000-year soul bone at its peak, without any special opportunities. An external soul bone was extremely helpful to a soul master. In the original story, Tang Xin challenged those stronger than him like drinking water. Other than relying on hidden weapons, he relied more on the external soul bone, the 8-spider spear, an external soul bone that came from the man-faced demon spider. Although the man-faced demon spider was known as an evil killer among soul beasts, its status was still inferior to the sky demon ape, which was at the peak of soul beasts. Therefore, the sky-raising palm bone in front of him could be said to be a treasure. It was a left palm bone. To a demonic ape, it was needless to say how powerful it was. Its most powerful attack was its arms. Every arm had the power to hold up the sky, and among them, the left arm was even more powerful than the right arm. The same situation applied to the Titan giant ape. It had the same monstrous strength, and the left arm was stronger than the right arm. Of course, there were soul beasts whose right arm was stronger than the left arm. The most typical example was the dusk gold dreadclaw bear. This kind of soul beast was in the same rank as the Titan giant ape. The Titan giant ape's strength lay in its strength, while the dusk gold dreadclaw bear's terrifying attack power, especially the attack power of its right claw, could be said to be unstoppable. The left palm bone in front of Lu Yuan could be said to be the most precious part of the sky demon ape's body. The absorption of a soul bone was not like a soul ring. As long as one had soul power, even a 100,000-year soul bone could be absorbed. Placing the left palm bone in his left palm, he circulated his soul power. The entire palm bone turned into a pool of sparkling liquid, completely enveloping Lu Yuan's left palm. Vigorous and domineering. This was the first feeling Lu Yuan had from the palm bone. Under this power, the golden dragon, martial soul, automatically attached itself to his body and began to assist in the absorption. There was indeed no threshold to the absorption of soul bones, but the pain wasn't any less. Lu Yuan felt as if his left palm was about to be torn apart. This was the power of the heaven-raising metacarpal bone transforming his left hand. Only by enduring this kind of pain would he be able to successfully absorb the soul bone. If he couldn't, then Lu Yuan's left palm would very likely be crippled. However, Lu Yuan's willpower was extremely firm. How could mere pain stump him? No matter how intense the pain from his left palm was, Lu Yuan's expression did not change. If one did not suffer the most, how could one become a man above others? The soul power in Lu Yuan's body circulated wildly. While he resisted the immense pain, he also used his soul power to speed up the absorption process of the Atlas palm bone. Although the Atlas palm bone was powerful, it was like water without a source. On the other hand, Lu Yuan continuously channeled his soul power into it. As time passed, the absorption of the soul bone gradually came to an end. The dim light that wrapped around his left palm had already disappeared. Or rather, it was completely withdrawn and absorbed into Lu Yuan's left palm. Lu Yuan could feel that a tyrannical power was being nurtured in his left palm. Once it was completed, his fighting strength would definitely increase again. Another hour passed. Lu Yuan suddenly opened his eyes, and they shone brightly. This absorption of the soul bone could be said to be a great harvest. Not only did he obtain a precious external soul bone, but his soul power had also increased by 1 level. He was now a rank 15 soul master. Absorbing a soul bone brought about an increase in all aspects, especially when absorbing the soul ring and soul bone of the same soul beast. It would bring about a great improvement to a soul master. For Lu Yuan, this improvement was mainly reflected in his physical fitness. If Lu Yuan's original physical fitness was comparable to that of a low-stage soul elder, then after absorbing the Atlas palm bone, Lu Yuan's physical fitness was comparable to that of a high-stage soul elder. With his current physical fitness, his second soul ring could withstand a 1,000-year soul ring without any pressure. The most obvious improvement was in his strength. When he first obtained his first soul ring, Lu Yuan's physical strength would be around 2,000 kilograms if he didn't possess his martial soul. After training, his physical strength had increased to around 2,300 kilograms. Now, his physical strength was close to 3,000 kilograms. Once his martial soul possessed his body, his physical strength would be close to 2,000 kilograms. This was a terrifying number. It meant that even if he didn't use any soul skills, his punch would be close to that of a soul elder's attack. It could be said that it was quite terrifying. Letting out a sigh, Lu Yuan stood up. "How was it?" the fellows asked. "Very good. The fusion was very successful." Lu Yuan smiled and said, "This Atlas palm bone gave me the Atlas Devil Ape skill, Atlas palm. It's a very powerful attack skill." "Oh." The fellow's interest was piqued. "Let me see how strong it is." "Old man, you'd better be careful." Lu Yuan stepped forward and clenched his left hand into a fist. A dim light flickered on his fist. Atlas palm. His body accelerated and turned into an afterimage. His left fist punched towards the fellow's chest. The fellows didn't care at first, but when he felt the vigorous wind, his expression changed. He instantly possessed his martial soul and protected his chest with both hands. Boom! A powerful force burst forth from Lu Yuan's left hand, and the fellows flew out and smashed a large hole in the courtyard wall. Lu Yuan was startled and hurried forward. "Old man, are you all right?" The fellows crawled up and rubbed his aching arm. "You brat, you're very strong. The power of your Atlas palm is almost on par with my fourth soul skill. If it weren't for your low soul power, I would have been seriously injured by that punch." Lu Yuan's expression was awkward. "I didn't think that Atlas palm would be so powerful." The fellows waved his hand and said, "It's not your fault. This old man asked for it. With your current strength, almost no soul master below the soul elder level can do anything to you. This way, when you go to the martial soul palace, I won't have to worry about you being bullied." Lu Yuan was quite moved and felt a little reluctant. In this foreign Douluo continent, the old man in front of him was his only family. Patting the dust off his body, the fellows looked at the human-shaped hole in the courtyard wall and said, "You brat, go play by yourself. This old man will find someone to fix this courtyard wall." "All right then. Old man, I'll be going." Since the fellows was fine, Lu Yuan felt relieved. Last time, Tang San said that he could finish forging the spear in a week. Today was the 7th day, and he still had to go to the blacksmith shop to check on the situation. Chapter 20. Reality had proven that Tang San, who was once the #1 disciple of the Tang sect, had a decent level of blacksmithing. Lu Yuan was very satisfied as he looked at the magnificent and domineering spear in front of him. This spear was about 2 meters long, and there was a five-clawed golden dragon circling around the silver-black spear. It was very majestic, and every dragon scale on the golden dragon was very lifelike. The dragon's head spat out the tip of the spear, which shone with a silver light. The sharp tip of the spear was suffused with a bone-chilling intent. The spear wasn't light either. It weighed at least 150 kilograms. Lu Yuan held it in his hand, and it was very suitable for him. If he had held this spear that day, it might have been much easier to deal with the demonic ape. Good spear. Lu Yuan casually waved the spear, and couldn't help but exclaim in admiration. This little friend is so strong. As the boss of the #1 blacksmith shop in Soto City, he had never seen a kid with such great strength. This 150-kilogram spear seemed to be nothing in his hands. Even Tang San, who was born with great strength, had to expend a lot of effort to move this spear. Yes, indeed, Tang San couldn't help but nod his head. This spear weighed 150 kilograms. He could carry it with a mysterious heaven technique, but he was still far from being able to use such a heavy spear as he wished like Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan laughed and took out a money pouch from his soul tool. He passed it to the blacksmith and said, "Uncle, this is the remaining balance. You can count it and see if it's correct." "It's correct." The blacksmith used his hand to feel the weight. For someone like him who dealt with metals all year round, he could basically determine the weight of a piece of metal by using his hand. Gold soul coins were no exception. "Then I'll go back first." Lu Yuan smiled and nodded at the blacksmith, then stood up and left. "I'll go back with you." Over the past 7 days, Tang San had been in charge of forging Lu Yuan's spear. He had completed his task today, so he could get off work early today. All right then. Lu Yuan carried the astonishing spear on his back, while Tang San followed beside him. Under the astonished gazes of the surrounding people, the two of them returned to Nodding Academy together. Tang San was very curious about Lu Yuan. That day when he attacked the Lai Mountain boar, the powerful fist technique and elegant movement technique he used, and even the design of the five-clawed golden dragon on the astonishing spear all tugged at Tang San's nerves. Was he a transmigrator like himself? These things didn't exist on the Douluo continent. They were products that only existed in his world. He wanted to ask Lu Yuan about them, but he didn't know how to start. After thinking for a while, Tang San made up his mind and said to Lu Yuan beside him, "Lu Yuan, can we spar?" "Spar?" Lu Yuan stopped in his tracks. He was a little surprised by Tang San's words. Tang San should know his strength. Why would he take the initiative to challenge him? It wasn't that he looked down on Tang San, but the gap between him and Tang San was too big. The Tang sect's martial arts and blue silvergrass were not worth mentioning to the current Lu Yuan. As for hidden weapons, Tang San couldn't use those powerful hidden weapons right now, so they couldn't threaten him at all. However, since Tang San took the initiative to challenge him, he wouldn't give up the opportunity to beat up the main character. "Sure," Lu Yuan nodded. "Then let's meet at the plaza at 9 o'clock tonight," Tang San suggested. There were fewer people at night, so he could wholeheartedly focus on the spar. "I don't mind. Anywhere is fine." Lu Yuan nodded and turned to return to the courtyard. Looking at Lu Yuan's back, Tang San's eyes flickered. "Lu Yuan, are you and I the same kind of person?" As night fell, the lights in Nodding Academy flickered. 9 o'clock was already very late. For people on the Douluo continent who didn't have many entertainment facilities, most of them were already asleep. Tang San quietly got up when he saw that most of the working students were already asleep. He gently opened the door and walked out. Tang San's movements were very gentle, so he didn't wake the other students except for a little rabbit who was still awake. "It's so late. Where is little San going?" Xiaowu scrunched up her cute face. "Who cares? I'll follow him first." Xiaowu quietly got up and followed Tang San for distance. Tang San was so eager to learn Lu Yuan's true identity that he didn't notice Xiaowu following behind him. At 9 o'clock, the plaza was deserted except for a few teachers who might pass by. In the darkness of the night, the vast plaza was quiet. Lu Yuan clasped his hands behind his back. As the footsteps grew clearer and clearer, his handsome face remained calm. Finally, the footsteps stopped. Lu Yuan turned around and said softly, "You're here?" "Yes, I'm here." "I'm too late." "No, I'm the one who's early." Lu Yuan shook his head. "Then let's start," Tang San said. "No rush." Lu Yuan shook his head and looked behind Tang San. "Little rabbit, how long are you going to hide?" "There's someone behind me." Tang San was startled. He hurriedly turned around and saw a short figure walk out from around a dark corner. The moonlight sprinkled on the figure's face. Tang San couldn't help but cry out, "Xiao Wu, why are you here?" Xiao Wu put her hands on her hips and huffed. "I was going to ask you the same thing. What are you doing out here so late at night?" Tang San awkwardly scratched his head. "I just came out to compare notes with Lu Yuan." "Compare notes?" Xiao Wu was overjoyed at the mention of sparring. She had always been a little violent and loved to fight. Not to mention that the sparring partner was Lu Yuan. She had been curious about this person for a long time. She immediately said, "Why don't you count me in?" Seeing the excited Xiao Wu, Tang San couldn't help but feel a headache. He turned to look at Lu Yuan. "I don't mind," Lu Yuan said indifferently. Tang San shook his head, feeling rather regretful. He originally wanted to find out about Lu Yuan's identity tonight and see if he was a transmigrator like him. However, with Xiao Wu's interruption, his thoughts were completely ruined. However, even if he couldn't find out about Lu Yuan's identity, Tang San still wanted to fight with Lu Yuan. He also wanted to know how powerful Lu Yuan was. "Then I'll go first." Xiao Wu took small, quick steps forward. Her body flickered with a red light, and a snow-white rabbit appeared behind her. Following the possession of her martial soul, Xiao Wu's ears also turned into furry rabbit ears. "Xiao Wu, your martial soul is the soft bone rabbit. Rank 12 assault type, soul master." Below Xiao Wu's body, a yellow 100-year soul ring shone. Lu Yuan smiled. A yellow light flashed on his body, and the image of a golden dragon appeared behind him. Lu Yuan, martial soul golden dragon, rank 15 assault system battle soul master. There was an unwritten rule in the world of soul masters. When soul masters were fighting, if one party reported the rank of their martial soul, the other party would also have to report their martial soul and rank. This was unless the soul master looked down on the opposing soul master and wasn't afraid of the other party's revenge. Lu Yuan and Xiao Wu didn't have any conflicts. Out of respect for Xiao Wu, he also allowed his martial soul possession, although he might not need his martial soul to deal with Xiao Wu. Chapter 21. I'm going to start. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao Wu had already launched a strong attack. Xiao Wu's martial soul was a rabbit. Strictly speaking, she was a close combat assault-type soul master. Therefore, Xiao Wu's attacking style was also in close combat. Coincidentally, Lu Yuan was also an expert in close combat. Xiao was very fast. She blinked her beautiful eyes at Lu Yuan and swept her leg towards Lu Yuan. With the amplification of Xiao Wu's rank 12 soul power, this leg was very aggressive and brought along a whistling sound. Lu Yuan smiled slightly. He moved his feet slightly and dodged Xiao Wu's attack. Xiao Wu continued to rush forward. With a flip, she kicked towards Lu Yuan's face. "Wah, Xiao Wu, you're too vicious." Lu Yuan's mouth twitched. If his kick landed, he would be disfigured. He moved his feet slightly again and dodged Xiao Wu's attack. With the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions, Lu Yuan's figure was very agile. After 2 consecutive attacks missed, Xiao Wu wasn't willing to give up. She stomped her feet and pounced towards Lu Yuan again. Seeing Xiao Wu pouncing towards him, Lu Yuan used the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions. The 2 figures chased each other in the plaza. Seeing Lu Yuan's confident figure, Tang San's eyes flashed purple. He was even more certain that this was Qinggong. After missing again, Xiao Wu stopped and panted. She said angrily, "If you have the guts, don't dodge. Let's fight face to face." "Okay, then I'm coming. Come on." Lu Yuan clenched his fist and stepped forward with his left foot. His figure flashed, and he punched out. The wind from his fist blew Xiao Wu's hair. The fierce aura caused Xiao Wu's figure to stop. Lu Yuan was very fast, so Xiao Wu forgot to dodge. Xiao Wu, be careful. Seeing that Xiao Wu was stunned, Tang San's heart trembled. He quickly shouted. Tang San's shout caused Xiao Wu to regain her senses. Looking at the fist that was already inches away from her, she could not help but turn pale. Xiao Wu could even feel a gust of wind blowing against her face, causing her to feel pain. Xiao Wu opened her eyes in a daze when she felt that she didn't seem to have suffered the impact that she had imagined. She looked at the smiling Lu Yuan and felt a lingering fear in her heart. Lu Yuan, how are you so fast? Why are you so fast? Lu Yuan's face darkened. When was he fast? He was very slow, okay? Have you admitted defeat? Lu Yuan's tone was indifferent. Admit defeat? I haven't used my soul skill yet. I'm not going to admit defeat. Let's continue. Xiao Wu gestured. She had been careless just now. This time, she would definitely not lose. Then be careful. Stepping on the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions, Lu Yuan's speed suddenly increased. Where is it? Looking at the afterimage beside her, Xiao Wu focused on it. Here, a figure floated past Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu suddenly pounced and lashed out with a fierce whip kick. I hit it. Xiao Wu's face lit up. However, before she could laugh, the figure actually slowly dissipated. It was an afterimage. Where is Lu Yuan? Xiao Wu was shocked, and a bad feeling arose in her heart. Suddenly, a huge force appeared on her back, and Xiao Wu was lifted into the air. Lu Yuan lifted Xiao Wu with one hand and watched as she swayed in the air. However, his arm was still as steady as Mount Tai. Now you admit defeat. Xiao Wu struggled with all her strength, but Lu Yuan's hand was like cast iron and did not sway at all. Xiao Wu's eyes flashed with a trace of craftiness. I admit defeat. Put me down. Hearing Xiao Wu admit defeat, Lu Yuan slowly put her down. Hee, you fell for it. When she landed on the ground, Xiao Wu suddenly turned around and smiled mischievously at Lu Yuan. The scorpion braid on her head swung and wrapped around Lu Yuan's neck. One of her legs stepped on Lu Yuan's waist, and the first soul ring on her body suddenly lit up. First soul skill, waist bow. Under the effect of the waist bow, Xiao Wu's strength increased by 100%, and she could easily throw a soul master away. However, Lu Yuan was not an ordinary soul master. Waist bow, Xiao Wu shouted and circulated her soul power. However, something awkward happened. Lu Yuan's body actually did not move. What's going on? Xiao Wu was shocked. Her waist bow, which had always been successful, actually failed today. With Lu Yuan's martial soul possession, his strength reached 2,000 kilograms. With Xiao Wu's small arms and legs, how could she throw him? Little rabbit, you're not obedient. Lu Yuan grabbed Xiao Wu's slender leg with one hand and lightly swung it. Xiao Wu's but immediately came into intimate contact with the ground. Io. Xiao Wu rubbed her butt. This smelly Lu Yuan actually did not have any protective feelings for the fair sex. Xiao Wu, this time, you admit defeat. Lu Yuan said with a faint smile. Xiao Wu snorted, but did not refute. Even her most powerful waist bow was useless against Lu Yuan. Even if Xiao Wu did not admit defeat, she had no choice. Little San, you go and teach him a lesson. Seeing Lu Yuan's still expressionless face, Xiao Wu was immediately angered. He actually dared to throw her sister Xiao Wu's, but Tang Sen nodded and slowly walked forward. He looked at Lu Yuan with a serious expression. The movement skill Lu Yuan used just now was definitely a type of Qigong. This movement skill was similar to his Ghost Shadow Perplexing track, and it did not belong to the Douluo continent. Tang San, Martial Soul Blue Silver Grass, Rank 13 Control System Battle Soul Master. Lu Yuan, Martial Soul Golden Dragon, Rank 15 Assault System Battle Soul Master. Tang San was not Xiao Wu. Against Tang San, Lu Yuan was clearly more serious. Blue silver grass appeared in Tang San's hand, and strands of blue silver grass wrapped around Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan stepped lightly, and his body leapt forward, quickly closing the distance between the two of them. So fast, Tang San's expression changed. Without facing Lu Yuan directly, he simply could not imagine that such astonishing speed could be possessed by an assault system battle soul master. Facing Lu Yuan's aggressive punch, Tang Xin took a step back. His 5 fingers opened into the shape of a claw, and a faintly discernible pulling force was emitted from Tang San's hand. Tang's secret art, controlling crane, capturing dragon. Feeling a formless pulling force on his fist, Lu Yuan's muscles expanded, and a huge force surged out. He actually broke free from the pulling force of controlling crane, capturing dragon, and blasted towards Tang San's chest. Tang San's expression changed, and his palm became as white as jade. He blocked Lu Yuan's punch with his palm. It was the Tang sect secret art, mysterious jade hands. Fist and palm collided, and a huge force burst forth. Tang San's entire body was pushed back more than 10 meters before he could stabilize his body. The power of a single punch was actually so great. Lu Yuan's strength was far from what Tang San could compare to. If not for the strong defensive power of the mysterious jade hands, that punch just now would not have been able to push him back more than 10 meters. Although Lu Yuan did not use his full strength in that punch, it still contained a force of 500 kilograms. Only Tang Xin would be able to withstand that punch. Tang Xin also reacted. Facing Lu Yuan head-on was not advisable, so he could only pull away and fight from afar. Chapter 22. The dragon's sharp claws shone with a cold light as they cut through the blue-silver grass. The blue-silver grass, which was tough enough for a normal soul master, was unable to withstand a single blow from the golden dragon's sharp claws. As a possessor of the golden dragon, Lu Yuan's close combat ability was unbelievably strong. Thus, even with Tang San's pride, he had no choice but to distance himself and engage in a long-range battle. Lu Yuan, be careful! Tang San's eyes glowed purple as he threw a few small stones at Lu Yuan using his hidden weapon technique. Looking at the oncoming pebbles, Lu Yuan's body moved like lightning and dodged all the pebbles that were coming at him. What a fast movement technique! Lu Yuan, who was using the Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions, was like the wind. Even Tang San's purple demon eyes could not capture his figure, and all of the hidden weapons he threw missed. Lu Yuan's figure was like lightning as he went straight for Tang San. Tang San used the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track and made an arc in the air, dodging Lu Yuan's sweeping leg. Lu Yuan's figure stopped as he opened his right palm and slapped down at Tang San. Tang San was startled as he used the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to dodge the attack. Interesting. You want to compete in Qigong? Lu Yuan's lips curled into a sneer as he increased his speed again. Looking at the menacing Lu Yuan, Tang San could only use the mysterious heaven method and use the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track to dodge with all his might. In the spacious plaza, 2 figures chased each other, leaving behind afterimages. Even Xiao Wu, who was watching from the side, was dazzled. These 2 guys are so fast. Xiao Wu's eyes widened. Lu Yuan and Tang Xin were chasing each other, and for a moment, they were actually neck and neck. The Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track has some skill. Seeing that Tang San was actually able to dodge his attacks consecutively, Lu Yuan's interest was piqued. The Tang Sect's Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track was indeed worthy of its reputation. Then let me see if your Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track or my Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions is better. These 2 movement techniques could be said to be peerless. The Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track was one of the Tang Sect's 6 great secret techniques. It was the Tang Sect's most profound movement technique, subtle and profound. From the original book, Tang San's battle against the Zhu Min clan, one could see how powerful the Ghost Shadow Perplexing Track was. Even Bai Qinxiang, a pure agility-type soul master, couldn't touch the corner of Tang San's clothes. The Phoenix Dances of the 6 illusions came from the anime, The Legend of Qin. It was the ultimate skill of the Quicksand Commander, White Phoenix. White Phoenix's Qigong was unparalleled in the world. Even a Mahist holy thief, Thief Ji, could not beat him. Once the Phoenix Dances of the 6 illusions was used, he would be like a phoenix in the sky, elegant and ethereal like the wind. This was the first time in the history of the Douluo continent that these two great Qinggong duels were taking place. Furthermore, both parties were only 6 years old, while the audience was only a small rabbit. The movement speed of the Ghost Shadow Perplexing track was not fast, but it was best at teleporting within a small area. This characteristic was very similar to the wave-like, subtle steps of the Gene family. Phoenix Dance's 6 illusions might not be as fast as Ghost Shadow Perplexing track, but its speed far surpassed Ghost Shadow Perplexing track. All of a sudden, Lu Yuan increased his speed again. So fast. Seeing Lu Yuan's fists sweep past the tip of his nose, Tang San was shocked. He had already used the Ghost Shadow Perplexing track to the extreme, but he still felt an enormous pressure from Lu Yuan's body. This pressure was almost suffocating. Tang San was really helpless against Lu Yuan. There was no need to talk about his martial soul. The Golden Dragon completely crushed the blue-silver grass, and his hidden weapons were useless in front of Lu Yuan's flying speed. For a moment, he could only passively defend. As the saying goes, if you keep defending, you will lose. Offense is the best defense. Whether it was the Ghost Shadow Perplexing track or the Phoenix Dances of the 6 illusions, they both consumed soul power. Lu Yuan's rank was higher than Tang San's, and the clear air scripture that he cultivated was more profound than the mysterious heaven skill. The difference between the two was obvious. Bang! A fist broke through Tang San's defense. Caught off guard, Tang San was sent flying more than 10 meters. He half knelt on the ground and coughed nonstop. "Little San, are you okay?" Seeing Tang San half kneeling on the ground, Xiao Wu was anxious and quickly went forward to help him up. "Cough. I'm fine." Tang San waved his hand, indicating that he was fine. "Cough. I lost." Tang San said, "May I ask what the name of your movement skill is?" Tang San looked at Lu Yuan and asked, "Phoenix Dances of the 6 Illusions." Lu Yuan didn't hide it. Phoenix Dances of the 6 Illusions? Hearing this unfamiliar name, Tang San searched his brain, but he had never heard of such a movement technique in the martial world. However, its profoundness were not inferior to their Tang Sec's Ghost Shadow Perplexing track. In fact, it was even better. A very powerful movement skill. Tang San said, "Your movement skill isn't bad either." Lu Yuan didn't comment on Tang San's praise. The Phoenix Dances of the 6 Illusions was naturally powerful, but he had seen the mysteriousness of the Tang Sec's Ghost Shadow Perplexing track today. It was indeed a rare movement skill. "Have you heard of the Tang sect?" Tang San's eyes flashed as he asked. Lu Yuan was startled and flatly denied. "I've never heard of it. What does this Tang sect do?" Hearing Lu Yuan's tone, it didn't seem like he was lying. Tang San was also a little doubtful. Could it be that Lu Yuan wasn't a transmigrator like him? The Tang sect is a sect. I've heard that it's quite powerful, but I'm not too sure about the details. Tang San laughed. Lu Yuan looked at Tang San meaningfully. As expected of Tang San, who was as intelligent as a demon, he had only accidentally revealed a little abnormality, and Tang San had seen it all and was already suspicious of his identity. Thinking about it, tonight's battle was just Tang San's next step to test him, right? Fortunately, he had that silly girl Xiao Wu with him. Otherwise, he might not have been able to hide his identity as a transmigrator. Lu Yuan had always been on guard against Tang San, especially after he decided to join the Martial Soul Palace. Other than the fellows, he was on guard against everyone else, including the Grandmaster. Tang San and the Martial Soul Palace had a blood feud. Not to mention whether Lu Yuan would work for the Martial Soul Palace in the future, it was necessary to maintain a certain level of vigilance against Tang San. After all, he was the main character of the original novel, and his luck was astonishing. If Lu Yuan really joined the Martial Soul Palace's camp in the future, then he was destined to oppose Tang San. It was necessary to have a few trump cards of his own. At the very least, Lu Yuan had only used less than 50% of his strength tonight. Of course, this wasn't because he was afraid. With the system in his hands, Lu Yuan might be a little afraid of Tang San, but he definitely wasn't afraid. As long as he was given enough time, He would be invincible in the Douluo continent sooner or later. This was something he firmly believed in from the beginning. Therefore, he would naturally try to hide his identity as much as possible. Some things couldn't be revealed to others, even if that person's character was trustworthy. To Lu Yuan, he liked to control everything in his own hands and not place his hopes on others. Chapter 23. The earth gradually woke up. An array of morning light broke the silence of the night. Lu Yuan was practicing the boundless sea spear art with the 300-pound spear in his hand. As the saying goes, 1 month with a staff, 1 year with a saber, 10 years with a sword, and 100 years with a spear. As the king of hundreds of soldiers, practicing the spear required not only talent, but also hard work day and night. It had been 2 days since his last match with Tang San. Although he didn't get the answer he wanted, Tang San was still very interested in Lu Yuan. For the past 2 days, he had been testing Lu Yuan, but since Lu Yuan was prepared, how could he let him succeed? After some nonsense, Tang San could only return empty-handed. According to the fellows, today was the day to go to Martial Spirit City, so Lu Yuan only practiced for an hour. After washing up, the sky was already bright. After breakfast, Lu Yuan followed the fellows to the Martial Spirit Branch Hall. Martial Spirit Branch Hall. Master Ma Zayinhuo had a smile on his face as he looked at a middle-aged man in his 40s with a respectful expression. Master Su Fei, thank you for your trouble. Su Fei nodded proudly as he looked at Lu Yuan and said, Is this the kid who has the golden dragon martial spirit and the innate full soul force mentioned in your files? Yes, Master Su Fei, Ma Zayinhuo said. Not bad. Su Fei nodded in satisfaction as he looked at Lu Yuan's young, but neither servile nor overbearing appearance. Su Fei's eyes focused on Lu Yuan, and his expression became much gentler. Hello, child. My name is Su Fei, a deacon of the Martial Spirit Branch Hall. This time, I will be escorting you to Martial Spirit City. Then I'll have to trouble you, Uncle Su. Lu Yuan said. It's no trouble at all. It's my honor to have a genius like you in our Fastno province. Innate full soul power was extremely rare. Due to the importance of Lu Yuan's talent, Fastno's Martial Soul Palace had specially sent him, a Soul King Deacon, to personally escort him to Martial Soul City. It had to be said that this was a great grace. Normally, they would only send a soul ancestor as an escort for something like this. The fact that Fastno's Martial Soul Palace was willing to send Su Fei, a Soul King, meant that the leaders of the Martial Soul Palace were very optimistic about Lu Yuan's future. This was an early investment. Then let's get going. Su Fei looked at the sky and said, Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, Grandpa Ma Zayino. Goodbye, Cici. Oh, and Brother Tao, bye. He waved goodbye to the fellows, Ma Zayino, Cici, and the others. Of course, Lu Yuan didn't forget about Brother Tao. Obuchi, take care of yourself. Seeing Lu Yuan get on the carriage, the fellow's heart was filled with reluctance. Lu Yuan was obedient and sensible. Although he wasn't his biological son, the fellows had long since treated him as his own. I will, Dad. After saying goodbye to the fellows, the carriage set off for Martial Soul City. The carriage sent by the Martial Soul Palace was much more spacious and comfortable than the fellow's own carriage. It was also very shockproof. Sitting in the carriage, not only was it very airy, it also didn't feel bumpy at all. Uncle Su, how far is Martial Soul City from here? Lu Yuan asked. Su Fei smiled faintly and said, Our Fastno province is located at the border between the Heaven Do Empire and the Xianra Empire. It's slightly to the south, but Martial Soul City is located in the center of the continent and slightly to the north. The route this time will pass through the Bala Kingdom and then the Heaven Do Empire's capital before reaching Martial Soul City. The whole journey is about 3,000 kilometers. According to our speed, it will take about half a month to get from Nodding City to Martial Soul City. That long. Lu Yuan sighed. It's actually not that bad. Half a month will pass very quickly. Su Fei said. Lu Yuan shrugged and asked again, Uncle Su, can you tell me more about the Martial Soul Palace? I'm not very clear about the Martial Soul Palace. All right, I'll tell you about it. Perhaps it was because he had nothing to do, or perhaps it was because he thought highly of Lu Yuan's talent. But as a Soul King, Su Fei was unexpectedly easy to talk to. First, I'll tell you about the different levels of the Martial Soul Palace. The Martial Soul Palace is mainly divided into 6 levels. The lowest level is the Martial Soul Sub-Palace, just like the Martial Soul Palace in Notting City. The next level is the Sub-Palace, which is usually set up in more developed cities. For example, the Bala Kingdom Soto City has a Martial Soul Sub-Palace. The next level is the Main Palace. Every province in the empire has one. The Fasno Martial Soul Palace that I'm in belongs to the Main Palace. The next level is the Martial Soul Temple. Only the imperial cities of the 2 empires have one each. The Imperial Palace and the Douluo Palace are both in Martial Soul City. The Douluo Palace of the highest level is a place that only Soul, Douluo, and above can enter. It is the holy land in the hearts of all soul masters on the continent. With your innate full soul power, if you work hard, you might have a chance to enter the Douluo Palace in the future. Su Fei looked at Lu Yuan with envy in his eyes. Innate full soul power was extremely rare. Only extremely talented soul masters could have it. Su Fei's innate soul power was only at the 5th rank. He was 48 years old this year and was only a rank 52 Soul King. If he had innate full soul power, he might have become a Soul Emperor or even a Soul Sage by now. The Douluo Palace? Lu Yuan clenched his small fist. His heart was filled with fighting spirit. He would set foot in this place sooner or later. Next, I'll tell you about the strength of the Martial Soul Palace. According to the different levels of the Martial Soul Palace, there are also differences in the strength of the Soul Masters. The lowest level of the Sub-Palace has the strength of a Soul Ancestor. The core strength of the Sub-Palace is mainly Soul Grandmasters and Soul Masters. They are mainly responsible for helping the villagers awaken their martial souls and conducting Soul Master appraisals. As for the Sub-Palace has the strength of a Soul King or Soul Emperor. It mainly depends on the specific development level of the city. The core strength of a Sub-Palace is mainly Soul Elders and Soul Grandmasters. They are mainly responsible for maintaining order in the world of Soul Masters and conducting Soul Master appraisals. At the Main Palace, every Main Palace has at least one Red Bishop, which is a Soul Sage. Some cities even have several Soul Sages in the Main Palace. The core strength of the Martial Soul Palace is mainly Soul Ancestors and Soul Elders. They are mainly responsible for maintaining order and conducting Soul Master appraisals. As for the Martial Soul Palace, there is no doubt that there are Platinum Bishops who are Soul guarding it. There are also many Red Bishops. The position of the Palace Master of the Martial Soul Palace is second only to the Pope and the Elders of the Consecrated Palace. They are only slightly lower than the Emperor. As for the legendary Pope's Palace, it is naturally managed by the Pope of our Martial Soul Palace. There are also many Elders, Consecrated, and Bishops. It is the highest authority of the entire Martial Soul Palace. Chapter 24. When he mentioned the Pope, Su Fei's face was full of reverence. It was obvious that he was a fanatical believer. Bibi Don was the most capable pope in the history of the Martial Soul Palace. Her methods were indeed swift and unfathomable. Under her leadership, the Martial Soul Palace had achieved great development. On the surface, it seemed that it was even on par with the 2 empires. In reality, the Martial Soul Hall controlled more than 60% of the Soul Masters in the world of Soul Masters. Other than the 3 upper sects, the 4 lower sects had all submitted to the Martial Soul Hall. It was the most tyrannical Soul Master organization on the continent. It had more than 17 top-tier titled Doa, including Bibi Dong and the 7 titled Douluo under him, as well as the 9 great consecrators of the Elder Hall. With such strength, they had actually failed in the original novel. It was quite unbelievable. It could only be said that they had met Tang San, who was a cheat. It was not their fault. Tang San was a god who could be resurrected after death. Furthermore, he had two gods in one body. He had both the sea god and the Azura god. The continent could have been unified a long time ago, but it was still divided even after 10,000 years. Instead, it was swallowed by the Sun-Moon Empire. Putting aside Tang San's family feud, Tang San's victory was actually a setback for the entire Douluo continent. In the world of the Douluo continent, there was no absolute good or evil. It was just a struggle between the various powers. Tang San's actions were not that righteous. He was just avenging his family. After all, the Martial Soul Palace killed his mother, even though they were resurrected later. They killed Xiao Wu's mother. It was natural for him to seek revenge. The Martial Soul Palace was not wrong either. As a human, it was natural for them to hunt for soul rings to increase their strength. Even Tang San did not hunt soul beasts for soul rings. It was just that the soul beasts that the Martial Soul Palace hunted were his family members. In the end, it was just a difference in their standpoints. The existence of the Martial Soul Palace was extremely important to the entire Douluo continent, and its contributions to the Douluo continent were indelible. Helping commoners to awaken for free gave commoners the possibility of becoming soul masters. Giving soul masters golden soul coins greatly increased the number of soul masters, and also gave commoners a goal to strive for, providing commoners with a path to succeed. In the entire Douluo continent, aside from the Martial Soul Palace, which other organization would pay attention to commoner soul masters? Even the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, which had always recruited commoner soul masters, only recruited servants and servants. The sect placed more emphasis on bloodlines. Only the Martial Soul Palace treated all commoners equally. In the end, the Martial Soul Palace was more like a guild, and talents were what the Martial Soul Palace valued the most. At the same time, the Martial Spirit Hall also maintained order in the world of soul cultivators. Without the Martial Spirit Hall, who knew how many commoners would have been persecuted by soul cultivators? Who knew how many evil soul cultivators would have appeared, and the world of soul cultivators would have been thrown into chaos? Perhaps some people would say that the Martial Soul Palace had many soul masters who bullied commoners. In fact, it was very normal for a large organization to have a few dregs. As long as there were laws, strict patrols, and effective measures, this kind of situation wouldn't be difficult to resolve. On the contrary, the aristocrats from the two empires oppressed commoners even more. Lu Yuan thought about a lot of things. He didn't have any prejudice against the Martial Soul Palace. In this world, there wasn't only white and black. Every organization might have both white and black, and the Martial Soul Palace could only be considered gray at best. There was still a possibility of saving it. It was a little too childish to blindly label the Martial Soul Palace as evil just based on the original novel's influence. At the very least, compared to the two empires, Lu Yuan had a better impression of the Martial Soul Palace. Lu Yuan was from Nodding Academy, so he knew how filthy the nobles were. Their faces were disgusting. If it were not for Fellows, who was afraid of causing trouble for him, he would have already beaten up those noble students from Nodding Academy. When he beat up Xiao Qinyu, to be honest, he felt really good. Of course, this didn't mean that Lu Yuan would definitely work for the Martial Soul Palace. He had never been a reckless person. It all depended on how things developed. At the end of the day, Lu Yuan was a person with a conscience and compassion. However, he was also selfish. He cared more about himself and the people around him. Although he hated the aristocrats, he was willing to help as much as he could. However, if it hurt himself or the people he cared about, then he could only apologize. He was never a saint. Lu Yuan was still deep in thought when a voice suddenly woke him up. "What are you thinking about? Are you listening?" Su Fei asked. "I'm listening, Uncle Su." "You're right. Please continue." Lu Yuan hurriedly replied. Su Fei took a closer look at Lu Yuan before he continued. 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. In these 10 days, Su Fei and Lu Yuan had already passed through Fasno Province and half of Bala Kingdom. They were now at the border of Bala Kingdom. Bala Kingdom wasn't far from Martial Soul City. After Bala Kingdom, they would arrive at Heavendo Imperial City. After Heavendo Imperial City, they would arrive at Martial Soul City in 3 or 4 days. Fengming Village. It was an ordinary village, but not an ordinary one. It was just like the Holy Spirit Village where Tang San was born. The Holy Spirit Village was called the Holy Spirit Village because it had a soul sage. The Fengming Village was even more extraordinary because the current Pope Bibidon was from Fengming Village. Author's note: this is purely fictional. Please do not take offense. Fengming Village was originally called Orchid Field Village because the orchids in the village were very popular. Most of the fields in the village were planted with orchids, hence the name. Ever since Bibi Dong ascended to the position of the Pope, Orchid Field Village was renamed to Fengming Village, which meant that the phoenix spread its wings and cried out to the 9 heavens. As the current Pope's hometown, Fengming Village was only a small village. However, no one dared to cause trouble here, so the atmosphere in the village was very peaceful. Fengming Village is right in front of us. This is the current Pope's hometown. Even though Fengming Village hasn't produced any Soul Masters in recent years, it is still very famous in Bala Kingdom. Also, Fengming Village's specialty orchid brew is very good. Su Fei introduced. Is that so? Lu Yuan was interested when he heard that Fengming Village was Bibidon's hometown. You'll know when we get there. Hee hee. Su Fei laughed as he ordered the coachman to speed up. After another 10 minutes or so, the curtains of the carriage fluttered in the wind. Lu Yuan's nose twitched as he narrowed his eyes. Uncle Su, do you smell blood? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.